Пошли. Все вместе. Какие ваши доказательства?
They want you to comply.
Cancel culture is about canceling.
Кокаином.
Up yours. Woke moralists. Up yours.
This is systematic bullying that's happening.
Woke moralists. Up yours.
And they believe that they can then
Woke
shut us
moralists.
up.
Up yours. Woke moralists.
They seem animalistic is what I mean.
No, they're worse than animals.
The woke mob, they ruin everything.
They stop Ben Shapiro from going to events and speaking. They stop Ann Coulter from doing it.
I will never surrender even a single inch of ground to a pitchfork mob.
You never cave to the mob.
We will never bow to the mob. Ever. No matter what.
Do you see the final expression of cancel culture in terrorist groups like
Up yours.
We'll see who cancels who.
Hi.
Hey.
We lost Bender. Hey, everybody.
How's it going? Episode 23?
23. Oh, I had the number wrong.
Wow.
Someone in the comments said everyone is a mobster or whatever, and Olay is a demigod. Okay, and I'm like, I like that.
Well, I'm so happy to be here with you all. The biggest news was that last week Lance debated Tim Pool, and the question I think I speak for everyone that we all have on our minds is, how bad did that room smell, Lance?
Everyone's been asking me that. I can't talk shit about stuff that isn't real. It did not smell bad in that room.
You're capping.
No,
No, it was.
I can talk shit about a ton of other stuff.
Yeah, the smell. There's no smell.
I'm sorry.
Like Lance said, there's plenty more, but there's no smell.
Okay, well, I was expecting BO and a little bit of ass, but that's pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I can't tell you that I had kind of a weird, like, I don't know if it's an initiation or what, but at a certain point they're like, Lance, are you ready? All right, go. And then you go up these like stairs. There's a hallway of all these like hand-drawn guests they ever have, and then you go up this hallway that's like dark with like blue lighting, and you hear electric guitar like, dun, 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 dun. And then when you get up to the top of the I'm 100% serious. And when you get to the top of the stairs, Tim Pool's the one playing the electric guitar. I have a photo of it. I can send it to you, David.
My experience was different. I think I told Lance came on.
What the hell? That is it's ridiculous.
Yeah, for me, they brought me to the studio first, and as I was sitting there, Tim Pool just comes into the room, walks straight up to one of the guns on his wall, takes it off the wall, and starts cleaning it right in front of me.
That's weird.
I'm not joking either.
Oh my god.
Yeah, maybe it is a power move. It's very weird, though.
So I do want to hear just summarize your experience, like what it was like to be there. Obviously, we've all covered the debate, but like just in terms of your experience talking with Tim Pool, or just being in that, I don't know, mansion, whatever the hell he has there. Like, what was that whole thing like?
Well, it's like Binder said, the compound is wild. He's got a full-scale half pipe built underneath the ground. Like, they must have had to like fucking trench so far down to have the walls be that high with like a full like size basketball hoop and everything. Like, it's nuts. Like millions and millions of dollars just being funneled into like, you know, a skater boy's dreams. You know, it was the skater boy's dreams for sure. It was I wanted to just start because it was like I was like, you know, you're just sitting there like, I want to do this, I'm ready to go, you know, and then like you have to wait an hour while they show you the chickens and the half pipe and all the other rooms and all that kind of stuff until, you know, the guitar sequence, and I got brought upstairs, and then it's like a little meet and greet, you know, Moonlord walked in the room and he's like, Lance, and like all this kind of stuff, and it was just like surreal. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then boom, you're live in front of like 40,000 people. And like, you know, he doesn't even give you like, here's all the things we're going to talk about. It's like, all right, here's the first story. We're going to talk about this. This is certainly not going to be a controversial beginning to anything. And then, yeah, I was like, the fact that we started with the New York subway story to start with, I was doing everything in my power not to scream, because it was like, don't do it, Lance. Don't do that thing where you're over. I'm very emotional, right? So I didn't want to be like, I'm so emotionally invested in this. What the fuck? I was like, just try and stay calm until you get to, you know, past this topic or something like that. I didn't think the first half was incredible on my part. I thought I did really good in the second half, the stuff I'd spent a lot of time researching, the trans debate. And then when it was all over, I thought I got to go. I thought I was free. And then he's like, all right, no, you got to stay. We're doing the after hours thing now. There's call-in, stuff like that. And then it's like a full, like, I was like, oh, God, here we go. And so, the after hours was way spicier. I mean, I'm posting it tomorrow on youtube.com/thesurfstv. But like, yeah, there was like, by that point, I was like, they are deeply unserious people when they're talking about these topics. He accused me of what? He accused me of wanting a trans genocide. He accused me of wanting to genocide autistic children. He accused me of being in a cult. He accused me of wanting to genocide autistic lesbians. Like I was not doing any name calling. This was like thing after thing after thing after thing. So by the second half, I was like, I was going for way more roasts. I went a lot harder in the
I feel like that means you came out successful, because like, with the amount of screaming Tim Pool did, and I didn't watch the whole thing honestly because I was watching hockey, so I would jump in here and then I saw some clips afterwards. But the few times I jumped on the stream to check what was happening, Tim Pool's like screaming, he's like screaming at you, and you're just like sitting there laughing, and it's like this is I don't know. I think that was
Lance,
good optics. When he gets that worked up, that means you're successful.
Lance, you should know that the only people in the leftist mafia who supported you throughout the whole thing was myself and Mike. Everyone else decided there were more important things to do. We are your true friends. And just remember that. Just remember
I will
that.
have you know, Lance is my homie in real life, so I WhatsApped him immediately and alerted him.
Even our guests. Even our guests in the Vanguard didn't stick around for the whole thing. So I want you to know that, Lance, that when it comes down to it, you know who's got your back. And it's me and Mike.
Ride or die.
That's right.
I realized that I was screaming into the mic, and that would not be good for the audience, and I didn't want to ruin their viewing experience. And so
it wouldn't have been TOS, right?
I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm real fried. I'm suffering. I'm screaming. Let me just bow out and let the audience enjoy this with Binder.
And I'll say this right now, David did connect his YouTube so his audience could watch along with us, and they were just going wild for Tim Pool the whole time. Pool. That's all they were tweeting. They were sending out in the chat the whole time.
I have to point out that Lance...
I covered it the day after, and they all seem to really hate Tim Pool. So whoever came out during the live stream, they were gone by the next day.
Maybe the Vanguard audience. Lance, is it true that there's a hit piece against you by one Rave Dubin because of the Tim Pool?
I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to watch it before the stream, but I got too caught up with other stories. But yeah, I got my first
video cut out one.
Yeah, but
I want to
never
see
talked
it.
About me before. Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got I saw the screenshot of it where it's just like leftist, cowards in a corner or something like that. And the picture he's using is my what the fuck face. That was like at a different point in the debate, being like, "Are you serious?" But like, yeah, he used it. It's a good thumbnail. I'll be honest. There were some cruel thumbnails out there. That was
look. Here's what I want to say about the debate. I think that going into that environment where you're in their compound and it's like a 4-on-1 debate, it is very difficult to get a word in edgewise. It's very difficult to come out successful. But I think that you did as good as you could possibly do in that environment because it's intimidating, and you got in a couple of good one-liners in there too. The left-handedness chart was amazing. Me and Matt kind of had like the same analysis. At the beginning, it was a little bit rough, but towards the end, you absolutely crushed it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the one I cared about because that's the one I spent like days and days and days and days studying for, and I've got this book full, and I still fucked up in one major part. I've issued a correction for the video coming out tomorrow, but they wouldn't accept meta studies. The one meta study that I did use, the regret after gender affirming surgery, systematic review, and meta-analysis of prevalence, that one is incredibly important. Anyone can go look it up, and that one has the less than 1% regret rate globally. Like not every country, obviously, but like Canada, the Netherlands, Belgium, the UK, Italy, USA, Brazil, Sweden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The one from Cornell is a literature review, so I should have specified that when I was talking about meta studies. But outside of that, almost everything else was like it was all ripped from the studies and the facts, and that's like it eventually derailed into him like getting like legitimate. It seemed like he was legitimately angry for that last.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if you watched our commentary on Leftist Mafia, but we could tell that like he gets angry as he starts to kind of lose, and you start to kind of like own him, and then he either gets angry and then changes the subject, or try to change like the dynamic of the conversation, or he just like rages. Like the left-handed moment, you could tell that he had no idea how to respond. It doesn't seem like he ever saw that chart, because he immediately pivoted to, oh well, I thought there was a genocide. Like you could like he never saw that.
I had Lance on my stream earlier this week, full disclosure, to talk about this in detail.
I watched.
And I said, I don't believe he never I refuse to believe Tim Pool never saw that meme before. He was playing dumb in front of Lance. Maybe he wasn't expecting Lance to physically pull the meme out for his entire audience to see it. So he had to play dumb that he never saw it before. But I refuse to believe Tim Pool never saw that meme before.
I don't know about that. I can't confirm or deny. It did seem like both Moonlord and Seamus were like, that seemed almost like the little learning point. David, the
Moonlord, I'll believe that Ian didn't see it before. That one,
the long-haired guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly believe those guys do not know. Like I don't want to offend them or anything, but I think they're completely clueless. Like they like I think they actually are there and are learning things occasionally. Like they're like, oh wow, that's a good point. Like, they don't realize that they're part of this like complete propaganda machine. But
Echo
that's
chamber.
my opinion.
Yeah.
David, I sent you in the Twitter the link to the picture of when I walked in and saw Tim Pool playing the guitar. If there's only one clip I want to play that no one's seen because it's from the second half, I put it in the chat of the Leftist Mafia. It's where I finally, because I was going a lot harder in the second half. I had a Bud Light that was powering me. It was giving me like I had a can of queer juice and it was giving me superpowers and So if there's only one clip,
a can of what?
Clip. Bud Light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said something else. What did you say?
I said the Bud Light was queer juice. It was good.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you said. I was like, what?
Oh, I stand by that.
Well, the room looks bigger.
Oh, yeah, that's the gun against the wall in the corner. Not the gun. No, not the one he cleaned. The one up against the wall in that corner there. That's the one he told me, hey, you want to pick up that gun? It's a Civil War relic. And I looked at it. It was all dusty and rusty and looked like it could fall apart at the touch. So I was like, yeah, I'll pass. I didn't want to like be held responsible for it breaking. And so I didn't pick it up. And apparently, according to people who've reached out to me after, a few weeks later, he was telling the story of a leftist he had on the show who was too afraid to hold his gun.
So if you go on in the future when he asks you if you want to pick up his gun, you pick it up and you're like, pow, pow, like horrible trigger discipline, just like fuck with it, throw it up, catch it.
I'll pick up that gun if he signs a contract saying I'm not held responsible, like an NDA, whatever it is, that I'm not held responsible if that shit falls apart in my hand. That shit looked old as shit. Like I was not gonna touch that thing.
Yeah. So that was interesting. How would you rate the experience, Lance, on a scale from 1 to 10? Very important.
It's mentally draining and exhausting. It took 12 hours for me to get there, and then it took 2 days for me to get home. And then like obviously having to get like by the end of it, like you can watch the clip, David, that I just sent you in the chat. By the end of this, you can see me basically screaming at them because I was just so sick of all this shit. Because they were talking about drag queens. He was saying that drag queens are groomers. He was talking about the Club Q shooting, and I actually said to his face, "I'm like, shame on you." I was like, "I'll say that."
That was a great moment, by the way.
Yeah. And so like wait till the end of. Well, I mean, pause it if you want, but for the last like 15 seconds, that's the part that I'm actually pretty proud that I finally got to yell at them for. Grooming is when you are trying to coerce a child into a sexual relationship with you. That's grooming.
See, that's
the actual definition of it.
Right.
But you are giving a definition that you've invented, or that the right has invented, or that you've extrapolated, or you've added to. But that's what grooming is.
So the left actually introduced the political aspect of it, which is why I tried to be careful with you. Because
how do we introduce an aspect to it?
So when the conversation emerged around grooming, the left began mentioning the idea of politics and grooming children to politics because the question was around...
Not into politics. It's if you were trying to coerce them into a sexual relationship with you.
Those are groomers.
Those are what groomers are. I got to make this point.
Those are the groomers.
And traditionally, by every single standard, it was considered grooming for an adult to tell a child that their parents don't understand them, that adult has a better understanding of that child's sexual identity, and that they should take on specific sexual behaviors and characteristics. That has always been considered grooming.
You're mentioning aspects of a groomer and the things they can do to groom. But the goal of a groomer, and this is what we all have to be on the same page is, because I think we all want to protect kids, right? Ultimately, everyone in this circle
wants to protect kids.
Yes, absolutely. So we have to identify what groomers are. They want to coerce children into having sexual relationships with them. And the second thing I want to add when it comes to groomers, the majority of people who sexually assault children are family members. We should say, like, you should say that loud and proud. It's family members. It's like 76% is family members. And after half of that is friends and family.
What do you think about that?
But that's kind of a whataboutism, right?
Tim, I'm never going to defend like individual examples that you pull up. If you pull up an example like, hey, here's a drag queen who's like doing a lap dance with kids, do you think I'm going to sit here and be like, well, because I'm an NPC, the left says I have to accept this?
I just asked you, what do you think?
Grooming?
I think that's inappropriate to do in front of a child. This is not what Drag Queen Story Hour is. Drag Queen Story Hour is men in wigs reading stories to kids, kids books.
But they're in their fetish costume.
Why does, okay, to you it's a fetish costume.
No,
to
not to
them,
me.
it's
That's
a
why I don't wear it.
Okay,
to them it's a fetish costume.
Drag is burlesque.
Okay, let's get ahead of this one. Boys, who are some drag performers I know? Michael Knowles, Steven Crowder, Rudy Giuliani.
And
do you think there's
are they groomers?
Are they going up to children and introducing?
Yes, Steven Crowder has segments where he's in public and there are children and he's dressed in drag. What are you talking about?
Amazing.
He could only laugh. He could only laugh
Amazing.
because he had nothing else
Exactly.
to say about that.
Yeah, that was great. Laugh. That was great.
Yeah, good work. That has got to be draining. The beginning was particularly just soul crushing because he was being so disingenuous. We were all yelling at the screen. So for you to go on hours after that when we were all mentally drained, like it had to have been exponentially worse for you. So I give you credit because that was very difficult and you did good.
Thanks, fam.
Yeah.
Wow. I honestly think like that is the way to go about it. Just go on that. If I was to go on that show again, those first 30 minutes, I would like completely like reconfigure how I would approach it, because I know like it's jarring at first, the way they all come at you and the way he constantly throws questions back at you, and you know, just prepare for once you settle in, and then you can just take it from there because everything's smoother sailings from there. You know, that's really when both of us did better when we were on that show.
Can we just point out how ridiculous it is that it's like 5-on-1 on that show? And like,
right.
I think this is the reason he no longer does, or he claims he doesn't do like interviews online. Like he did one with Sam Cedar. Now he refused to do one with Sam Cedar on the internet anymore because he wants that 5-on-1. He wants that confrontation. He wants these people on his side, all these people versus one individual in a room. Like it's just
David,
the whole setup. Like it's so like, if it was the opposite, they'd be freaking out about how unfair it is. Yet this is the setup they have.
Yeah,
you know what his dad said? What Tim Pool's dad said? He made a video of me.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you know, back in my day, we used to have a fair fight, 1v1. I don't know what this is, this 3v1 crap, but you guys got to meet mano kind of shit. I was like, oh, this is like, he just seems like, you know, an old fashioned guy, you know, but it's pretty funny to see.
Can I tell you something pretty crazy? Like I Tim Pool's style is I don't know if he's seen this, and this is what he deploys, but randomly, one good thing about the new Twitter is I get the worst people in my mentions, and one of these, not my mentions, my For You algorithm, and one of these things was a like shitty like growth and personal growth like Twitter user. But the tweet that showed up in my feed was how to win an argument without having solid reasoning and proof. And it's a way to like, I'm being serious. This is crazy. Go listen to these tips and tell me Tim Pool does not deploy each and every one of them. Are you ready? Stage 1, trigger your interlocutor. If you're short on logical arguments, the safest way to still be right is by making the person in front of you sound wrong. In order to do that, you have to drag the conversation towards emotions and completely disregard any sort of logic. A few ways to do this is by responding to logical arguments by suggesting that your interlocutor lacks empathy by being too rational, emotional appeal. He did that to you. Or even directly criticizing the person in front instead of discussing their ideas. Stage 2. Forcing the monologue through question bombing. does that all the time. While the tone of the conversation is getting more and more aggressive and emotional, you start framing the conversation by bombing your interlocutor with questions. The goal here is not to get an answer from them, but rather the opposite. What you're really doing is getting on their nerves. This should be done in such a way that you ask a question every time they start answering the previous one. Very annoying, but very effective. Stage 3. Letting your interlocutor speak. Here you want them to talk as long as possible. You have already been preparing them for this moment by disturbing them all along. They should feel relief as you completely shut up and start looking at them in the eye with interest and insistence. Intense eye contact to convey that you're not only listening, but doing so willingly and with good faith. But your disturbing act is not done yet. As they start speaking, you should have a very expressive face and react with negative facial expressions to the point the person is making. Not with anger, but rather with disdain. The idea is to make them angrier and angrier as they try to convey their message while destabilizing their rationale. Stage 4, destroy the monologue. Yes, good old ad hominem. You're not going to address any of the points they made. Instead, you're going to attack the flaws of their rationale and the person. It goes on and on. That's just some of the tips. It's exactly what he does in every single conversation you had with him, I had with him. It's that to a T.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like it would be a lot to think about, or you just think that's what he eventually like? Do you think he's intentionally using those kind of strategies, or they're just like they're identifying those kind of strategies?
I don't like. Do I think he saw this guy's thing? No.
No. I'm not implying that. I'm just saying like that also seems like a lot of things to think about while you're doing it. Like,
I think it's a skill.
It is if you're an honest person, but if you're a dishonest person, just there for just trying to get an emotional reaction, I think it's almost the default for some of these people. It's just to act on a purely emotional level and not actually discuss anything rationally, because they're not there for a rational conversation. They're there just to evoke some kind of emotion out of people. So I think for him, it comes naturally because certain people just don't. He doesn't care about the issues. He doesn't actually care about the truth. It's just about whatever he has to argue, and he'll argue that side.
Yeah, they're inherently bad faith. And I think that as they do more of these debates with the left-wingers, they get better at kind of deflecting and obfuscating with time. And you could tell that like Tim Pool, he's been doing a lot of obfuscation and deflection for years. So he was very savvy in the way that he approached some of these questions. He knew how to frame it in a misleading way that tried to back you into a corner. He is deeply, deeply bad faith. And I don't even know like what his personal political beliefs are. I don't know if he believes anything that he says, but it's just that environment is almost impossible to have a good faith conversation because he's not interested in that.
Do you guys think he'd go?
I would not know.
No.
I'd do it again.
I think you're better equipped. I think you're someone who's good at these kind of conversations. It's for me. It's just like I'm not that kind of person. I can't engage in the mud. I'm just not. I don't excel in an environment like that. It's too confrontational.
Same. I'm not very quick on my toes like you all are. For me personally, like I like to really take time and think about ways to approach an argument. It's just not for me. Like I think the most effective way that I can break down these arguments is like watching their video, pause it, because I would get too frustrated if they're in the moment just throwing a bunch of shit at me, because I like to approach things very like I can't just formulate something quickly. So yeah, that would drive me absolutely nuts. Like I've had these conversations like with family members, and of course I BTFO them because I'm much more politically savvy than them, but it's still just draining and exhausting because it just, I don't know. I just would not, it would be terrible. I hate it. I would get too mad.
I mean, I definitely do it. But I don't like to. I'm a lawyer. I'm a defense attorney. So
you're good at it.
I was like, I was like, you could destroy because of that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm great. Like people love when I'm in debate formats with right wingers and stuff. It always goes viral. They love it.
On the Hill, that's how it usually goes down after the segment, right? Because after you do that whole like that list where you do like the breakdown or whatever, then you start like going back and forth, right?
Yeah, it happens, I don't even be trying to debate with nobody, but yes, it's fine because I think as long as you remember it's a performance. Like I think that's the thing. That's all I think there is to it, is to remember it's a performance. Like if you watch me, like when I was watching you do this, I was screaming, but you don't get that from me when I'm in the debates because I'm performing. It's not like I'm an actress. So yeah, I could do it, but I don't care to. I'm not traveling to no white man's plantation to be jumped by a bunch of that was crazy. That's nuts. That don't make no fucking sense. Like, no fucking way. Like, no way. Look at it. It looks like a fucking dungeon, a fucking council full of idiots. I'm not doing that. No way. No fucking way. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would say I would be open to doing a 5 or 6-on-1 against like Raves, Dubin, or Tim Pool on this show because, you know, if they want it to be unfair.
Is there even an example of any of these people showing up to a more left-wing show or progressive show in a format like that where it's like 3 versus 1?
No, they're
like,
not doing that. They're dumb.
Of course they're not doing that.
That's
they're just
true.
talking
I never
in
thought about
circles.
Yeah. My stint as a debate bro ended without a single debate because back like a couple of years ago, the Drunken Peasants put together a debate between me and I don't remember his name. It was a long-haired
or something.
Yeah, it was Sticks something. It was the long ass name.
It's Sticks and Hammer like 666.
Yeah. Okay,
that's a Holocaust denier.
Yeah, so I spent like a month and a half doing research and prep for that debate. They put together this amazing promo, and the day before he bows out, and then we try to schedule again, he bows out, and then a third time he bows out. I'm like, motherfucker, like I don't know what it is. Like I'm not very intimidating. I've never done a debate before. Like I just do my own YouTube videos. But he bowed out like 3 times, and I'm like, okay, this is too exhausting. I'm done. That's it.
Wait, so you mean it? So hold on. So the debate bro culture is like where they're actively, consciously going into it as a debate. Like we're going to have a debate. Like I'm scheduling the debate with you. That's the concept. That's another extrapolation. You know what's interesting? I've been on a lot of videos like on YouTube where like on shows and stuff and it gets labeled debate after. And it's always like, I'm like, huh, like that's how you felt? Like I didn't go in there.
That was a friendly conversation.
Like I have no, it always feels like that. I think that's like why, like, especially like on the Hill, it always looks like you look like Robbie and MB hype, but I'm always like lost because I don't actually give a fuck what anybody like I don't need you to agree with me. I don't care. I'm not here to convince you, and I don't give a fuck what you think. So I'm always like lost when it's like, ooh, you're really impassioned on this silly shit you are saying.
Well, and the thing about these debates, though, is that there's no winner or loser. The audience who supports you thinks you won. The audience who supports them thinks that they won. I mean, like, you could try to be objective here and there, but there's a bias. We all have biases. Like, immediately, like Lance could have went there and shit the bed, and I still would have like found all the little nuggets of like amazingness from it. Because like you're rooting for these people because when you see them up against like this bad faith actor who doesn't care about anything but scoring points, not trying to change hearts and minds, just wants clicks. You know, it's hard not to be biased there. So I'm biased, they're biased. The winner is whoever you already supported. Like, I think that to the extent that debates change minds, it's probably minimal. But maybe it's large enough. Like, we can't quantify this shit, right? But it's probably large enough to be worthwhile. But it's just not my thing. Right. It's entertainment for sure.
Yeah. I don't think debate should be approached with like the other, like the opponent really in mind. I think you should look at debates kind of as a presentation and addressing the arguments with sense, like not get lost into it. Like in court, right? Like as a lawyer, you don't go back and forth running on. Like that's not how things are. You present an argument, other side presents an argument, sense is made, whatever. There's not too much running on. Like if I file a motion and the prosecutor files a reply, most of the times I'm not going to file another reply unless he brought up something that I didn't anticipate, because you anticipate what the other argument is. It's not like rocket science. You know what the different sides have to say on it. You present your argument with what it is and the disagreements built in, and they present theirs and you go about your business. I think it's a mistake to, do all the and running all their little points. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Concede and dismiss and move on. That's why I think, like, if you see me on Rising or you see me on debate shows, I'm very different personality than I present on here or something like that, because I'm being different. I'm actively like, I'm not here to run on with this person. I know I'm like, oh, I let them talk. Like, honestly, it might be the most viral bits, but I talk least of the time because I let them say all the craziness, and then I'm like, right, back to logic, because that's fucking stupid. Here's back to the point whenever any conclusion, and they always feel like they won until Twitter says they didn't. You know what I mean? But I don't care, because I'm not in it to argue with them. I'm just in it to make sure I got the perspective out, that point of view that I can share with a larger audience. I'm not there to argue with that person. Who gives a fuck about them?
Yeah. I mean, and even if like it appears that you lost overwhelmingly and most people think that you lost, confidence goes a long way. So if you just brush that shit aside, then you won't be hurt by it. So like again, like this is all theatrical. I think that if you want to see like a debate, I think the most intellectually stimulating types of debate, not to sound like I like the smell of my own farts, are like these email exchanges that Noam Chomsky did. I mean, I acknowledge the recent kerfuffle of Noam Chomsky, we'll call it that.
We'll call it the unpleasantness. Yes, the unpleasantness.
Yeah, so I lost a lot of respect for him, but like he did these emails, like, you know, with Sam Harris and stuff like that. And it was like long, drawn out, really thoughtful responses from both of them, even though Sam Harris is a dumb fuck. But I thought that was much more stimulating because like you could really develop understanding there. Whereas like in a debate, it's this point was scored, that point was scored. And that's not to say that it's not useful. I think that there is value in it, especially considering that like younger people, as they're getting involved in politics, they like the blood fight or the blood sport. So that might draw them in, which I think is good. But at the end of the day, like it is entertainment, and you just got to keep that in mind when you're watching them. It's not for me. I'm too much of one of these people that just gets flustered really easily.
Yeah,
and I think
like the left-handed clip that it wasn't me, someone took it and then edited it into a TikTok video. It ended up like charting on TikTok. It had like, I think it's almost past 2 million views now, and that was just like
wow,
a fucking teeny amount of time. And like the fact that went so viral, that was when Tim eventually started subtweeting me. That's what he was like, you know, I don't care what any of you say, I'll never believe the fact that it's like it's somehow not gay to like, you know, suck a trans woman's penis or something like that.
Wait, was that in the after show?
That was in the after show. Yeah, they were talking about so Mike, I got them to admit that all the shit around groomers, all the stuff about grooming, Drag Queen Story Hour being the grooming hour, all of that, it was actually about the fact that you are worried about gender ideology indoctrinating kids. I said, you're worried about kids becoming queer, and they admitted it. They like, one of them was like, yes, and then Tim Pool was like, because it's sexual, and I was like, no, it's not fucking sexual. It's not inherently sexual. It can be, but it doesn't need to be, right? That eventually led to me being like, could I convince any of you to be gay? If I showed you the best gay porn in the world, you're all straight, right? So if I showed you the greatest gay porn of all time, the juiciest, the finest, like the sexiest of boys, like all of a sudden, would you suddenly be like, oh shit, yeah, I've been transformed? And then that's when Moonlord was like, well, I don't know. He was like, I was watching porn once, and then this like trans porn popped up, and I started thinking to myself that like if I had to see that all the time, maybe I'd start thinking about it, right? And then that's where the whole like, you know, I was like, well, if you're attracted to trans women, don't worry, you're not gay. And then Tim was like, yes, you are. And they never backed down off that. All of them kept saying, if you're attracted to trans women, you're gay. And one of them, they brought up Blair White too. I was like, you think it's gay to be attratted to Blair White as a straight heterosexual man? I was like, I can't. Like, I can't speak for the entirety of the homosexual community or something, but like I assume a lot of homosexual homosexual men are not attracted to Blair White. I would assume that, right? Blair White is a woman.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre. I'm glad that you brought that point up to them, because it's funny. It's like, for me, my entire life since I was a kid, I was blasted with like heterosexuality. You see almost nothing but straight sex scenes. I don't think I've ever been tempted once to try heterosexuality. I'm a 6 on the Kinsey scale, never been bi-curious at all. So they think that it works the other way around, though, where it's like, okay, wouldn't there be like so much more, like no gay people, just because of how much we see heterosexuality and cis people? Like, it's weird logic. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I don't think that they think about these things.
Yeah, I can show you the clip if you want. But we should move on. We should probably move on from Tim Pool. I saw people in the chats being like, "Are they going to talk about the news?" Because there's probably
Tim Pool fatigue.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know if you guys heard, but the next 5 episodes of Leftist Mafia are all Tim Pool. We got 3 more in the works. Are we having a guest on this episode? Because I was going to tweet it out.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, totally. So shout out to Jessie Gender. If you don't already know, check out youtube.com/Jessie Gender. She's incredible. She does tons of videos on a range of topics, all the way from debunking Matt Walsh's "What Is a Woman," probably the best video series debunking every single thing in "What Is a Woman." She put that together. Also incredible videos on Star Trek, nerd culture, all that kind of stuff. She's awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I quote tweeted her this morning and had no idea that she's gonna be on the show today. Like, it was just completely random.
Nice.
It's quite a coincidence. But okay, what else happened this week? What news happened this week? Anything you guys want to talk about?
I mean, lots of legal L's in the right-wing world with Donald Trump. being found liable for sexual abuse and defamation of E. Jean Carroll. On top of that, George Santos surrendered himself after being indicted on 13 federal counts. And then his press conference afterwards was just genuinely hilarious because he was saying this is a witch hunt and he's going to run for re-election. They're very, very good.
Some clips. I haven't watched this yet. I covered it, but I covered before he came out and said anything.
Yeah. So he even said that he's probably going to lead a committee one day. That's how confident he is that he's going to escape all of this. And there's like scandal layered within a scandal because he was claiming that he was eligible for unemployment insurance benefits during 2020 when it was expanded for people suffering from the pandemic. But he was actually employed making over 6 figures a year. But the company he was employed at was shut down because it was accused of being a Ponzi scheme. So it's like, there's just so like it's unending.
All right, let's listen to some of this.
You guys, look, this is the beginning of the ability for me to address and defend myself. We have an indictment. We have the information that the government wants to come after me on, and I'm going to comply. I've been complying throughout this entire process. I have no desire not to comply at this point. They've been gracious in there. Now I'm going to have to go and fight to defend myself. The reality is it's a witch hunt. Because it makes no sense that in 4 months, 5 months, I'm indicted. You have Joe Biden's entire family receiving.
Sweetie, it's a witch hunt. It is a witch hunt, but you're a witch. We have you in 4K, bro. Like, I just need to go pull up his Paris Morgan interview, just rest it down in the court and walk out.
Exactly. He said he got away with it before. Like that's
You admit to it. Like you can't like do that. Like I swear Santos carries on like he thinks like the days disappear. like he just lives one day at a time. Like I'm like, you recently got up in 4K and said you did all that shit. They asked you, why would you think you could do all that shit that you admit to do it? And you said, because I did it before and got away with it. And now you're talking about, this is a witch hunt. How in 4 months am I indicted? Because for 4 months you've been admitting to shit. They've been testing you in 4K for 4 months and you have confessed every time. That's how you're indicted.
Receiving money from foreign destinations into their bank accounts. It's been years of exposing. A lot of you here have reported on them, and yet no investigation is launched into them. I'm gonna fight.
Tough crowd.
I'm gonna fight my battle. I'm gonna deliver. I'm gonna fight the witch hunt. I'm gonna take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that.
Clearing my name. What is your name? Not George Santos.
It's not. It's Kitara. It's Kitara. It's Kitara.
Kitara, Anthony DeValder. He has 3 different names. Like this idea of bringing up Joe Biden, like that exposes how BS this defense is. If you have to, squirrel over there, like look at him, Biden. It's like, come on, you got nothing, bro. It's so insane. Apparently, so the top potential sentence for him is 20 years. I don't think he's going to come anywhere near that because that's how society works. But I hope he gets something. I mean, he's under, what is it, 13? It's a 13 count indictment, federal charges, like some serious shit in there. So I guess we're gonna see where it all goes.
I hope he runs town. Like I hope he skips town. Like for his future movie. You know that's gonna be the epic. Like Catch Me If You Can. like I know he's gotta skip town. I know he got to do one of those. He gonna disappear. He can go to Mexico. I can't
Depends how confident he is in his ability to lie his way out of this. Because if he thinks he can keep lying his way out of it, then he'll just stick around and try to keep lying. He's got away with it before. So he can keep getting away with it, and that's what
I wish
he thinks.
he could get like one of his like a previous significant other on the record. Wouldn't that be excellent? Like that's who I want interviewed. Find me his last part. Oh, the pillow talking he must have done. I would love to know.
Isn't he divorced apparently? Like,
oh right, he divorced a woman.
Yeah, they should be able to find her when he was still pretending he wasn't gay. Like this is.
Oh, so he's out. He's out.
Yeah, he's
out.
Yeah.
I assume, but I didn't want to be out here just assuming things. Okay, all right.
That was a safe assumption.
Given that, but I was like, I don't know.
I think that was one of his selling features as like a Republican in like a blue district where he's like, I'm gay, so you can vote for me. Like,
yeah,
I'm not like those other Republicans that lie all the time. I'm one of those good ones. Like,
I hope Disney modeled like a villain after him. Like, wouldn't that be excellent? You can imagine like a Disney cartoon villain like with this kind of that'd be excellent. Top tier.
I think it's hilarious that he stole campaign funds to purchase designer clothing, and my man still looks like shit. Still looks terrible, disheveled.
And he's stealing other people's scarves. Remember that story? He stole his friend's his expensive scarf. This guy just wants to live the high life. Like he belongs in like a Succession episode. Like he's just there for the money.
He's so funny. He's hilarious, honestly.
Yeah, he tweeted out in all caps, "Witch hunt like Donald Trump." But he's pursuing the Trump strategy, but he doesn't understand that his base doesn't like him. Like 78% of his own constituents want him out. Trump's base likes him.
The witch hunt analogy caught on. Because what are you suggesting, right? Because like the whole point of a witch hunt is to get witches. Like so, like no one ever denounced witch hunts. So we just questioned whether or not they had the right witches. But you, 4K baby, like y'all are clear. Y'all been practicing magic in front of everybody. Like
it's honestly so ridiculous, and really I don't even care about the outcome. Like, I just want the movie to be released ASAP. Like, that's really what I'm focused on. Like, we need to do a watch party when it comes out.
Are we going to talk at all about this Trump town hall? I covered it today.
Speaking of movie, by the way, I just wanted to add here. I have a buddy who was trying to do a movie with George Santos, and actually met with him a few times.
What?
He was going to do he was trying to get George Santos to agree to do the documentary. I don't know if you saw on MSNBC yesterday. Ari Melber had on Blake Zeff, who is my buddy in question, and they released some of the recordings because Blake was recording his conversations with George Santos. And it's really good. You should check out some of these recordings. I don't even think he released them all. This guy... one of the recordings they released was him like mocking his Jewish constituents. Another one, I don't know if they released this one.
With an impression. He does an impression.
With an impression, yes.
Yes.
I don't know if they released this one yet, but I've actually had to keep quiet on this for a while. I've known about this for a couple of months. And one of them is, I don't know if this one was released yet, but one of them is George Santos really thought that this was going to happen. Like he really thought nothing was going to happen to him, that he was already talking about running for president and everything. Like he thought this was smooth sailings and he was just going to become a big like political star and everything.
Is he listen divorced to this one. From reality? Oh my.
You sit in a room with a lot of Jews, you're it's funny when the isms start coming out, right? Oh, he's such a man, she's such a man, and then they go on to the next thing. It's like, that's a point, and it's really bad. But anyway.
What the fuck is he talking about? I don't even know if I'm supposed to be offended. What are you saying?
Yeah.
I
guess you got to read it.
I have to understand.
It sounds like he's making fun of his Jewish supporters, is what I'm getting from this.
As well as his imaginary Jewish heritage, by the way.
I hate people who are not even funny with their prejudice. Like I don't even get the joke. Like I feel like they're done. Like
here's another one. Oh wait, 1 second. What the hell?
The most amazing thing, though, about this whole thing is that the documentary was never going to happen because every time Blake tried to meet with him to convince him to do this documentary, George Santos would say, I got to figure out if I did agree to this, I need to figure out a way to get paid without any red flags. And he told Blake that he expected, I think he probably has it in the recordings too, he expected he'd be paid millions of dollars for this documentary. And when Blake was like, I don't pay, he was like, well, I'm going to hold out for Netflix then. They're going to give me millions, I bet.
Oh my God. This guy.
And Netflix better give him a big fucking bag. He's absolutely fucking correct. And they will. And they fucking will. I'll raise the money. I want to see that movie, okay? What are you talking about? Yes, they will.
So this one's about so apparently one of the I think this is part of the indictment. that he qualified or he tried to qualify for unemployment when he doesn't actually qualify for it. But I guess this is him discussing this.
So the way I look at it is they're not understanding. If the question is simple, George, why was your income $55,000 in 2020, and why is your income drastically higher? Well, here's the answer to that. We struck a deal with the company so nobody went unemployed and got reduced to like a very basic salary, just so we, as we called it, livable wages in the company. So we can get by, because our industry was capital introduction via vis-a-vis conferences, vis-a-vis speed dating, all that in private equity, and managing limited partner, general partner relationships and investment groups. So long story short, I went from 2019 bringing in $400 and something thousand to, in 2020, my reported income was $55K. It couldn't be more legitimate. I actually qualified for unemployment.
Quote, I qualified for unemployment. This is
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's just telling
so
this.
fucked.
Does he know he's being recorded? Like,
Yeah, he collected $24,000 on unemployment. It is just genuinely insane. For months, he was saying, because every single week, like if you've ever been on unemployment, you have to say, yes, I'm still eligible. I'm looking for work. Like in Oregon, we have like certain requirements. We've got to look for work. Every single week, he lied. Like it's genuinely astounding that this man thought that he was like going to go on to be president and like have this huge political career. I mean, when you look at the climate and you see, figures like Donald Trump and whatnot, maybe he had a reason to believe that. But I mean, still, like, bring it down, come back to reality. Like, this is ridiculous.
I don't know how you keep track of them all, honestly, when it comes to him. And I'm like, half the shit that he's that he's claiming that he's done in his life. Like, if I had just one of those monstrous lies, like my mom died on 9/11. No, she didn't. I have Ukrainian Jewish heritage. No, you don't. I was the producer of the Spider-Man musical. No, you weren't. Right? Like, just one of those, I wouldn't feel confident ever being like in public where I could get questioned about it,
Yeah. Oh, didn't he say he created carbon capture also?
Yeah,
like,
he did claim that. Yeah,
of course he did. Of course he did. Well, someone had to. Come on, someone had to.
So this is another one.
What are they entertaining, kind of like monetarily? Look, I don't have a number in my head. Like the fact that I'm having these conversations are conversations I never end up going here, so I would be having. But when in Rome, let's have the conversation. A lot has changed over the last recycles, so over the last 6 years. So from 18 to now, a lot has changed. The ethics committee has allowed so many things, and it's been bipartisan and across the aisle. So I think this is a different time in Congress where they're understanding that this is just going to be a new way of doing things. What are they?
This is just this guy.
Yeah. It's I mean, like, I feel like, it's not sort of, he got indicted, so it's like, what more? But I feel like these recordings really do lay it out in the open, like, exactly. So there's no question, really, what his thought process is on a lot of these things.
Sorry. This is one more. This is the one you're talking about him running for president. I got to hear this delusion.
It's not a thought that I haven't had. Let me make that very clear. It's not a thought I have not had. In light of all the shadas and all the freaking frenzy and fanfare over my SEC filings, until I can get all that squared away and put it to bed, the sheer thought of me opening an exploratory presidential committee would break all the rules. It's not.
Right. I mean, like, the idea he'd even consider. Oh, the only reason I'm not running for president yet is because of all of this, like, drama going on. Otherwise, exploratory committee is formed. Right.
Like, it's one thing. Like, Trump is one situation because we're talking about like a celebrity for like 50 years. Everyone knows who. It's a different thing. George Santos, there's no constituency. Like, no one's running to the polls for George Santos. Like, it's so delusional that he thinks because he's been in the headlines that all of a sudden he has this ability to run for president and be successful. It is just the sheer delusion is mind-boggling to me.
The double standards too, right? Like, could you imagine if a Democrat had one of the 47 different George Santos lies, like just one, and any given one? My mom died on 9/11. The Ukrainian Holocaust survivors, you name it, just pick any one of them. Also, it sucks about the dog. That's why I'm like, I used to love the idea of George Santos. I thought he was like, Santos Claus. Like, if you believe in him, he's real and all this kind of stuff. But like, then it turns out he's a fucking asshole. So he's like taking the money that was like crowdfunded to save a dog's life, and then the dog died, and he just kept the cash. Like, what a monster!
Yeah, that was when he was dead to me officially. Like, I was okay with it. I thought it was funny, but you can't do that. Like, dogs are precious, and for you to do that to an innocent animal, yeah, I feel like he should be in the gulag for life. Fuck him.
The whitest sentiment I ever heard.
You there, LA? I heard something.
I just hear me laughing in the background.
Murmuring to myself. I was literally Mike is talking. I'm like, white people.
It's so true, though.
It truly is.
Like, I would die for my dog in a heartbeat without a question.
Oh yeah, Chico's my life.
Yeah,
dog's too much work. No, thanks. I'm good.
Are you a cat
it
person,
is true.
David?
I had a couple dogs growing up. It's just I wouldn't have one now, especially with a child, at least a toddler. It's so much. A toddler's too much work.
Not
to add an animal to that. I know I like animals. I don't like having to worry. The thing is, I worry too much. So I would just I would feel bad anytime I leave the house, anytime I do anything. Like, I don't think about I can't do this because I got to think about the animal at home. Like, it's no.
Yeah, that is something to consider. I feel very bad whenever we have to leave because the dogs feel like, we've been gone for months when you come back, and they're just traumatized, and it makes me feel sad. So yeah, I get that for sure.
And like at least toddlers grow up, right? Like, they become people and adults, or they're always people, but they become adults, and like they can think for themselves. Dogs, they're just they're always children.
They're perma kids.
So,
yeah,
they're perma toddlers. It's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cats, though, cats I'm a little more open to because they take care of themselves. They can be home for a couple of days as long as you have food and water out. So I'm a little more open to cats, but dogs are just too much work.
I'm open to cats. I love my cat so much, but my cat doesn't love me as much. Like, that love is not reciprocated. My cat loves my husband exclusively and hates me. In fact, she knocked over my Lego set. It was like a bouquet, destroyed it. She likes to fuck with me. She likes to bully me. Like, I'm bullied in my own home because of my cat.
I love that cats will not fuck with you just because you live in their house. Like, I love that about cats. Like, if a cat loves you, like, literally every day, I'm like, my cat fucks with me for real. He don't even have to, but he fucks with me, loves me. I'm like, oh, I'm so great. Literally, I walk around all day just affirming Raheem, just like, you're the greatest cat ever, and that's not because you're my cat. It's because you are. If you weren't the greatest cat ever, you wouldn't even live here. You're that cat. Like, I love my son.
I mean, my cat, like, she'll be like, I don't want to make her out to be this like horrible animal because she will let me pet her, but it's like, okay, 2 pets. Any more than that, I'm gonna fucking bite you. Like, she's very, very.
That's all cats though. They're all very particular about.
They're
all very particular about how many.
Cats. Bro, that is not all cats. Raheem, don't scratch me. Raheem, let me do anything. I can
really
do. Yes, I can.
Well, and Maine Coons are very chill. Like, my cat is a Maine Coon too, and she's very chill with my husband, but not me. It's like I don't know what I did, but my dogs love me. My dogs love the shit out of me.
So we can talk briefly about Trump if you want, or the town hall at least. So I covered the town hall today. I don't know if there's a need.
I watched your video.
Any clips? Thank you. But today, at least I just saw this. So CNN is kind of now in defense mode because they're all being criticized for platforming all of Trump's BS again. Anderson Cooper came out. Oh, this is longer than I thought, 2 minutes, but we'll watch a bit of this. This is him defending their whole town hall, and I'm curious what he's going to say and what we're going to think about it.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions, and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men. and called Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. It was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years.
Wait, press pause.
Upset you?
He was the president of the United States.
Right,
I know.
Why are you talking about it if it's this this little rising star no one may not have ever heard of that we need to shine a light on this filth.
Of him.
Yes, we all know. Everybody knows. Continue.
That's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. Many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't.
Why did it happen the first time? Because CNN helped give him millions in free media, platforming all of his rallies without any pushback at all for months on end. And that helped to add to his popularity and his rise within the party. They're doing, it's happening again. Yeah, with your help, if you continue doing this, platforming all his... Because here's the thing, there's no way to properly combat Trump in a one-on-one situation like that, because he lies upon lies upon lies within one sentence. How can anybody possibly address that properly? There's no. I don't know what the clear answer is to this, because I understand the point he's trying to make. Trump is running for president. Be aware of him, but we are aware of him, and when you have an audience just laughing and clapping at everything he says. Anybody who is apolitical, if those people still exist, or in passing, seeing this in an airport, he comes off as likable because of the whole environment he is in, and the laughing and the clapping and the supporting of him. It doesn't help when he just bulldozes the moderator and the crowd loves him. Then what's the point of even doing this entire town hall? I just don't understand the point of doing it.
Yeah, and that came off as really disingenuous to me, too, for Anderson Cooper to make it seem like, oh, no, light is the biggest disinfectant. He didn't say that, but that was the implication. And it's we already know. Stop treating him like a normal candidate, because he's not. By the way, our guest is here, Jesse Gender.
Yes, Jesse. Hello.
Hello.
I came at a fun time, it sounds like.
Right in the middle of our rant, we're sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just oh, of course, I come in talking about this guy.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Jesse Gender, for all of you who don't know me, or known as Jesse Gender on the internet. My actual name is Jesse Earl, and I'm a video essayist who makes videos about LGBTQ issues, transgender issues specifically, as well as social and political issues as well that sort of are adjacent or close to that, but aren't necessarily always specific on trans and LGBTQ issues. And then also I'm a giant nerd, so I also try and talk about pop culture and sort of analyze pop culture like Star Trek and things like that through a leftist lens, I guess is probably the best way to put it. So in trying to say hey, here's how we can look at how pop culture sort of fits into what we're talking about in the real world right now. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So I have an important question on that note. Since you said you're a nerd, are you also very excited about Tears of the Kingdom releasing tomorrow?
No, see, oh man, I feel like a bad nerd because in terms of gaming, in terms of that specific game, because I've never gotten into Zelda. I've never gotten into that particular genre. I keep trying and I'm I get 10 minutes in and I always fail, specifically with those games because I
wow.
hate weapon durability. I hate weapon durability.
That's fair.
Oh yeah,
I hear that. No,
it grew on me.
I like
same.
I like the Zelda like stories. I think they're probably the most well written video games there are. But it's just not my style of video game to play.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
I have so much respect for them, but then I just sort of like am aimless and like I don't know where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do here. I'm a big fan of like I'm more like story heavy game, like really big story heavy games like Mass Effect, or you can kind of see it behind me.
Wait, but Zelda's a very story.
It is in a much more like
kind of. It's more it's less direct. Than maybe like a Mass Effect is in terms of dialogue. I mean, Link doesn't really speak.
Oh, with
right?
dialogue
like,
and stuff. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, I just don't like the whole long-winded dozens of hours of gameplay. It's not a game you could just pick up and play. I also don't really like single-player games all that much because I've been spoiled by online multiplayer games.
Oh, see, I'm the exact opposite. I just play single. Like I barely play multiplayer games. I just play single-player games.
Same.
So, yep.
Yeah, same.
I'm more that way.
You're all antisocial.
It's true. Like, well, it's nice to have you, Jesse.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And actually, I was saying earlier, I just randomly quote tweeted one of your tweets this morning, not knowing you're going to be on the show. It was the gaming one, 4 games that defined your childhood.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool, we're gonna have a gamer on. Awesome.
Yeah.
I was
did
also
you answer that
mentioning
question?
earlier.
I did, yes.
Check it out.
I was gonna say I was also mentioning earlier how I think you have like Dollars for Donuts, the best debunking of What Is a Woman by Matt Walsh, and so I was trying to promote that to everyone. And you also got in trouble for that one too, right? Didn't like you get a video flagged or something?
Yeah, no. So that the story of that one is fun because I put up that video and immediately like an hour after it went up, it got taken down and got a community violation because of unwanted sexualization in the video. And I had to go through this whole fight with YouTube. I'm also on Nebula, so Nebula reached out to YouTube and finally got them to tell me what the problem was and why I got that violation. And the reason is in the video, there's like at the top, I have like a joke mannequin with Matt Walsh's face on it. It's just like a naked woman mannequin with Matt Walsh's face on it. And I cut in at the opening of the video going like, oh, it's okay, baby. We'll take it slow. Like that was the joke. And it was just like meant to be like, oh, kind of like the cartoon version of Matt Walsh that I have here is like consenting to like go on a date with me or whatever. And they consider that unwanted sexualization, which is hilarious because it's like I, as a trans woman, make a slightly sexualized joke about a cartoon version of that man, whereas Walsh can sexualize trans people's bodies all day and it's totally fine. It's like trans people sexualize a cis person, it's awful, and a cis person sexualizes trans people, it's Tuesday. So
Steven Crowder has literally uploaded segments where he dresses as a trans person and pretends to in these segments rape people in prison.
Yeah,
like that's
me being like, oh, we'll take it slow, baby. Oh, hello, like that's literally it was 2 seconds, and that's unwanted sexualization. So yeah,
that's
fun times. It just
that's so ridiculous.
It showcased to me. It showcased. I want to say the hypocrisy of YouTube, which is true. They continually let that man do horrible shit, but it also just showcased to me too, like the implicit assumptions around like the sexualization of trans people. Like we are inherently seen as sexual beings, so it's okay to talk about us in those terms as like being a fetish by just existing. Whereas again, I do it to someone like Matt Walsh and like the people at YouTube who makes those decisions, like instantly see that it's like, oh, that's sexualizing him. Whereas him talking about us is just like there's no like understanding of like him sexualizing us.
It's infuriating.
Wasn't taking down or doing anything about the entire, like when Boston Children's Hospital was getting multiple bomb threats, teachers, nurses, they were getting fucking tons and tons of death threats and stuff like that. I was like, YouTube, you are one of the things facilitating this right now. You know, you have to take a stance. You can't like just become queer for like 1 month of the year when it's Pride and then you put the logo on and everyone's like, yay, you care. When this is having real world consequences, what this man is saying.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous because even recently, like he came out and says, "Oh, my channel got demonetized because of the Dylan Mulvaney stuff because I was and he wasn't using the pronoun her. It's like, oh, because I use the biological like pronouns, and it's like that's what took YouTube to get to that point. Like the like it's it showcases like how ridiculous that situation around Dylan Mulvaney is. Like that's what got them there. But it's like that's the thing, not the Boston Children's Hospital, not his repeated like sending people his audience to harass like trans people and trans supportive people directly, like giving people phone numbers and again calling trans people fetishes and mutilated and all that jazz, like literally every day. So yeah,
and making so much money.
It was ridiculous. It was, I forgot what the number, but it was like,
I think he said $100,000 a month, right?
Yeah. I was like, I wish. Well, it also showed his stuff got leaked, right? And he had those like emails with Steven Crowder where like he said like, I'm a capitalist, so I'm going to really double down on this stuff. It just showcases like how much of like it. I mean, we already knew this. It is just like people just doing it for money to grift. But it's like you did think about like him being like one of the true believers, like he really believed the bullshit a little bit. But it's like, nah, he's just doing it for money. And you see that like his audience spiked up as soon as he started doing trans shit. Like he wasn't even at a million.
Well, do you not feel like it's both with him? Because there is an element of Matt Walsh where I feel that he is so deeply unpleasant, unentertaining. Like at least like Alex Jones is a massive monster, but at least you could say he's entertaining. Matt Walsh is not that. So I feel like Matt Walsh has to be extra horrifying and horrible because otherwise, why would anyone pay attention to him?
He is so boring. They're all boring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just like Higher Right Check. Same thing.
That's another thing too that's hilarious too is in the video that I did on him, I just make dumb jokes about him, like he looks like a Wolverine cosplayer because he's always wearing the freaking flannel and has a terrible beard, like shit like that. And I keep getting so many like tone policing comments from like Matt Walsh fans who come on the video who are just like, oh well, I was gonna listen to you, but how dare you like insult him and say his beard is mid? Oh, that's
they're the softest people in the world. Like, Christ.
Exactly. Literally every day, it's just like, I was willing to give you a shot, but then you insulted his beard in the first 2 minutes. You just showcases your trans agenda. I'm like, okay.
So ridiculous.
As if you would have been able to win them over had you not mentioned that.
No, I don't feel bad about it at all. I'm happy I made the joke. Screw him. He has a mid beard.
His beard is mid, and I think he needs to get on my level. Maybe he's lacking some tea, but he's he's just he's a mid.
It's fine. Be a real man. Come on.
Yeah. No, I think that like a lot of these people, it is absolutely just negative engagement farming. Like I think you made the great point, Jesse, that like these people are untalented hacks. And so in order to get, or I guess I should say, in order to make up for the lack of talent, they can get attention by just being as extreme as possible. Like it wasn't until Matt Walsh started to find success with his anti-trans bullshit that we saw Michael Knowles start talking about, trans people and making genocidal comments like that. So if you don't have talent, that's what they do. And it's really unfortunate that it works. Because it shouldn't. Like, it should be transparent, and people should just see that these people are just very clearly trying to elicit a reaction.
Well, yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, right? Where it's like so much of trans issues are misunderstood or misinformed about, and so people don't like understand the nuances of a lot of it. And people are learning, and that's fine. People are on learning journeys, but because there is that gap in knowledge, people can then go out and say extreme horrific shit, which then sort of generates all the attention and clicks. But because it's not as understood, places like YouTube and other places don't like have rules about it, don't understand it, and so like, well, maybe that's fine if he's saying that and don't like have like clear like lines in the sand about that crap because trans issues are so misunderstood, quite obviously. And so they just are allowed to say horrific, toxic, genocidal crap and get away with it because our society generally just does not understand what these things actually mean for trans people's lives and what it means also too for other folks too, because when you attack trans people, you're also attacking bodily autonomy rights and things like that, and it dovetails with so many other things like women's rights and issues of people of color and things like that as well. So
yeah, it's all interconnected. It's the climate has gotten very, very scary with regard to trans issues, and I always try to temper my rhetoric. I don't want to be perceived as being too hyperbolic, but I feel like at this point in time, like this is genocidal territory. And like, even if you're in a blue state, transphobia can still, like, you're more protected, but transphobia is still rampant. Like I've been arguing with my family all week because one of my trans family members was attacked by one of my cousins because there was a photograph posted on them. So it's like, oh, here's a photograph of a trans person. So that photograph was clearly posted because you want attention. It's not like other people don't also post photographs of themselves.
Yeah, no, It's every time a trans person does something, it's like signs of our narcissism, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a narcissist because I'm a YouTuber, not because I'm trans. But I mean, like, yeah, no, it's just like anytime a trans person speaks up or anything, they always say is like, oh, you're narcissistic. Oh, especially for trans women. Oh, you're socialized male, or you're just showing your masculinity. It's just like the same thing constantly with really a lot of marginalized people. Whenever they speak up, it's just sort of like ways to sort of delegitimize their speaking up about their own issues constantly. And yeah, when people do sometimes think that like the rhetoric around trans genocide is hyperbolic, and I understand that because a lot of people's common views of like genocide is like people sent to camps and mass deaths, like mass graves, sort of thing. But like genocide is also like trying to deny people being them whole selves, trying to take away kids from families, which we see in different states right now, where like there are laws that say you can take people away from their parents and separate families. And also too, like things like Florida, where they sort of like have this like 3 degrees of separation, where it's like if you exist in public, not in your assigned gender, that's they like sexual grooming. And then they can, they have a law now that they just passed that says, anyone accused of sexual grooming can be put up for the death penalty. Clearly, like connecting the dots of like you can be killed for being trans. And so like, yeah, it's not like what people commonly conceptualize of as genocide, but it is trans people getting killed, ostracized, put out, split up from their families, cut off from our own identity and our own sense of culture and community. So I understand why people think it's hyperbolic, but I don't think it is in the slightest. So
yeah, I've gotten to the point where I feel like whenever I talk about like one of these new laws, like I almost feel like it's incumbent on me to use the word genocide, just because we're at that point, and I feel like the normies, the people who don't follow this, they really have to pay attention, and they need to realize how serious the situation is, and it's only going to get worse if this continues. I mean, like we're in May, right, middle of May, and there's been almost 500 bills introduced across the country, most of them bans on gender affirming care. I mean, this is like record breaking. So yeah, it's genuinely scary. And to see like that rhetoric kind of like trickle down into like personal circles and whatnot, it's just, you can tell how vicious and how like wide reaching like the transphobia is. Like, because like going back to like my family, like the talking points that they use very clearly come from Fox News. And it also shows you how like a lot of these issues are interconnected. Like there's a lot of like there's this push by the right. I think this is all astroturf to like separate the LGB from the T. But I mean, you can't do that, because I mean trans and gay people are discriminated against for the same reason. Like we violate gender norms. But like you have like people who, after I defended my trans family member, coming out and telling me their true feelings about homosexuals again. So it's like see, like it takes so little to like get them to let the mask come off. And yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah,
it's all interconnected, as you say, because like a lot of like why trans people are so vilified is we clearly showcase a lot, like we sort of destroy a lot of the implicit assumptions we have about gender in our society. And often gender is a lot of ways that we sort of build off of different bigotries, how we sort of like see men and women as separate, and women as like weak and needing to be protected, and we be in the home, and men go and do like do all the work and things like that, and women's bodies need to be controlled constantly. But then also you can tie it into like one of the things that I always like to showcase a lot of these assumptions is sports. There's the big thing about trans people in sports, and I actually like to use that as a great discussion point, because there's a lot of people that sort of assume that like, well, women are weaker, and so if you have a biological male, quote unquote, put into women's sports, it's they're going to be beating women all the time, cisgender women. But the question that I propose is, why do we have a sort of delineation of men versus women in sports anyways? Because there are things where, some people will be able to be better at certain things like figure skating movements, things like that. It's like there are better ways to sort of segregate in sports rather than just along gendered lines. And by adding trans people into the discussion, it points that out, because quite often, and this sort of goes to the interconnected nature of it all, is often you'll see when people try to set laws or rules in sports about like, you need to have so much testosterone level to be able to compete in women's sports, or so estrogen level, whatever the line is, it'll not just sort of ostracize white trans women, but also ostracize black people, from black women specifically, often from being in there because our idea of what a woman is often white womanhood and white privileged womanhood. And so it showcases a lot of like the assumptions around trans people often are based off of like the race science that created a lot of our gender expectations long time ago as well, and showcase a lot of the implicit racism in a lot of these assumptions that underlie a lot of it. So yeah, it's all interconnected is basically the thing. So
well put.
Since we brought up sports and Matt Walsh, I don't know if you guys saw this week, but this apparently ice hockey, not manly. Like they're now, and of course Matt Walsh is the expert on what is and isn't manly. Apparently, this is just like I don't know what the goal is here, but this is just incredible.
The organizations NFL and NHL are both certainly a lot less manly today than they were even 10 years ago, 20, certainly 30 years ago. But if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, before the NHL started doing Pride Nights and all the rest of it, then maybe you can make an argument for the NHL. But now, and the NFL went woke too, but not to that level. Like the NFL people are where they got to wear the rainbow uniforms and everything else. So NFL wins out for that alone.
Which, by the way, just to interject, there's only the NHL. I mean, they're attempting to try and be a little more open to some of this stuff. They have it's the pregame like. Outfit. There's like a Pride Night that every team at some point has had, where there's a rainbow somewhere on the outfit, and most players wear it. Some have objected and haven't worn it. But that's all this. It's barely even like scratching the surface of like inclusivity.
Yeah.
And this already has apparently made hockey no longer manly.
Well, NHL has Pride Nights. NFL doesn't at this point. So NFL wins. Then we talk about the sports, and yeah, on hockey, you've got, first of all, fighting after the play is part. I mean, that's cool. The fact that you can just beat the hell out of each other for reasons it has nothing to do with what's actually happening on the. I don't know. I've never watched hockey, but I guess
he hasn't even watched hockey, and he's like just going off about what sports are manly and what's not manly. Like this is so. How is he not embarrassed? Like, how is this not just completely embarrassing to be? This is what you're doing now. It's just like you're the decider on what is a manly sport, and you don't even watch sports. Like, what? What are you doing? Like, I don't understand how this guy has any appeal at all. He is the most uncharismatic, boring ass right wing individual that exists in media, yet somehow making $100 million. A month. It just this guy is I don't get it.
Yeah, Matt Walsh is what you get when you order the Humanist Report from Wish.com. I don't understand how this man has a platform. I mean, come on, how does he have more subs than me?
He gives his audience what they want, you know? I mean, not saying
so do
you
I,
don't, but his audience is a lot more willing to pay for it because they are, they first of all, they have a lot more money, just period.
Yeah, true.
Right-wing audience definitely has more money than a left-wing audience. There's no doubt about it. They're older usually, so, they have more money to throw around.
Yeah.
You guys get mad at each other. You just beat the hell out of each other, and it's understood that that's what you're going to do. So that's cool. You don't have that as much in football, but at the same time, I got to deduct points based on the fact that you are on ice skates, which is a little bit, it's like that's what figure skaters use, and it's like it's a little bit sort of.
This
dainty,
is so petulant and weird.
Skating around.
It really is like, oh, you might get the cooties from the ice skates.
Yeah, it's like it's so worried about like appearances and like
yeah.
Someone may think I'm a little girly because I'm wearing skates because figure skaters also wear skates. Like this is what 8-year-olds talk about. Like this is so surface level like weirdo bullshit. And anyway, this just made me think like I want to see him get hit into the boards. I want to see him get a puck to the face, and I want to see how he takes that. It's all of this is so stupid.
He's the type of person who, like when he's trying on shirts at the store, he's asking his wife not if it fits him or if it looks good on him, but does this make me look gay? Is there too much like girly colors? Somebody said, Kathleen said in the chat, yeah, nothing beats the riveting commentary like Mike's commentary on Kay Ivy's burp. You go, Queen. Thank you. Right? That is exponentially more substantive than anything Matt Walsh has ever said.
Yeah, it's just funny when you were talking about how boring he is, because he really it's like just showcase all they have is like hate. They have to say extreme shit because they're just dull. They don't have anything interesting to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like
they're also stupid, so they just try to fill the air, so they just keep talking, and then they end up talking about the dumbest shit imaginable. It's like they're filibustering their own shows. It's just I just don't understand how people can watch this.
And they try to like one up each other because like him and who's the other guy, Michael Knowles, who's also incredibly boring. Like there was 1 week where Michael, I forget what it is now. Thank God that he's not as important in my brain. I just forget about him. But he said something that was like really extreme, insane, and got covered by everybody. And then the next week he tried something else, and it didn't hit as strong. Like they're just trying every week to see what does and doesn't hit for them, and it's purely about money, and they do not care about the hate they are spreading. They don't care about the impact at all. It's just, what can I do for people to cover me, to know I exist because I'm a failed actor? All these people, like failed actors, failed writers. Ben Shapiro, failed writer. His parents from Hollywood, yet he spends all this time complaining about Hollywood. Someone like Dave Rubin, failed comedian. Michael Knowles was a failed actor. Like, all these people have all this background in trying to be famous in some way or another, and failed at doing that. So they found a way to be famous by having no soul. And that's essentially what all these people do now.
Yeah, I saw through RM Brown's video. He was talking about Michael Knowles, who brought on like this expert to talk about how porn can hypnotize you. I think he said in particular like trans porn. And I'm just like, dude, you're okay. There's so many layers to the insanity. You're talking about
that's some projection, I'm betting there. They're hypnotizing me with their porn. It's not my fault that I watched so much of it.
Yeah, is that not like him telling on himself, where he's this concerned about porn? It's like, listen, there's a simple solution. Don't watch porn. But you are, and you feel guilty about it, which is why you're trying to, I don't know, talk with an expert about porn and how it's hypnotizing people. It's so deeply unserious that the fact that people take this seriously makes me lose faith in humanity. It's making me misanthropic, literally. I can't take it.
It goes a lot to like a lot of like the mask, like kind of what Matt Walsh was like articulating in that thing with the figure skating. So like, it always goes back to this like need to project masculinity. And so it's like these people are like attracted to trans women, and would seek out porn or whatever, but then that makes them feel unmanly because like, oh, am I attracted to a man? Because they see us as men, and so they have like these like questions of self, and then they project that onto trans people. It's like, no, it's fine, it's okay. Like, I always hate to make fun of people like watching trans. It's like, it's fine, it's okay, do whatever you do. I'm not gonna like kink shame you or like judge like your interest in anything, but it's like you project your own insecurities about your own manhood and your own like desires onto others, and have to be like, oh, I'm a man actually, so I'm gonna legislate and hate on trans people because of my own bullshit that I'm putting forth. And it all just comes back to that need to constantly project manliness and manhood and like be a strong dude.
Yeah, deep insecurity.
It really exposed their insecurity. Like it's so blatant.
Yeah, I'm not like, I don't go through life thinking, man, is this action that I'm doing, is this movie that I'm watching gay, or is this a little bit too straight? I mean, who's thinking about this shit? I mean, come on, people. I mean, who cares about this? Like,
I will. I'll make any piece of media gay if you ask me. Like, all right, those two, they're gay. I'll make it happen. I'm a Star Trek fan. We made Kirk and Spock gay in 1966, so we'll do it.
Well, Mike, I'd have to ask because, like, I'd imagine as being, you said you're a 6 on the Kinsey scale, right? You grew up, and all media is heteronormative. Like, every love story you probably ever saw when you were growing up was heteronormative, like love stories. And it's like, I find when there's like one movie where it's like, or I was trying to recommend sometimes to different people that incredible like episode of The Last of Us or stuff like that. And I had like a friend who was like, oh yeah, but like, I don't know if I could watch a gay love story and feel the same way that I would for like a straight. I was like, what? No, trust me. And obviously they were totally wrong when they watched it. Like, oh, that was unbelievable. That's the most beautiful love story ever. I was like, I told you, like, just love is love. It doesn't matter, what the combination is.
Yeah, no, for me, I think I'm just desensitized to it, honestly, because I've seen it I've seen, heterosexuality portrayed forever. So like if there's a sex scene in a movie, that's when I just start like daydreaming. I'm like, God, this is so fucking boring. How do people like this? Like, if it were a conservative and they saw a gay sex scene, they'd be like, oh, I'm outraged. I can't look at this. But then they want to look at it. But for me, I'm just like bored because I'm not insecure. You know what I mean? And if there was like a gay sex scene and I'm like, a straight sex scene, I'm like, oh wow, this is actually a really attractive couple. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, we're like, they overthink so much about their sexuality, about their gender, and it just looks like a really miserable way to live. Like, I can't imagine going through life being so insecure about every single element of your life. Bro, just live. Just do whatever feels natural and you will be happy. But they're fundamentally unhappy, which is why they're trying to bring all of us down, because misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
It's this fear to like face who they are and just face themselves and maybe contemplate like how they actually feel about things, because all of us grow up indoctrinated in some way, grow up to think a certain way, and we eventually find ways to break out of that. But you have to allow yourself to break out of that. You have to allow yourself to explore other ideas, other feelings you may have. Because if you just continue, like, as you said, like, look away when the gay scene happens, like, you're never going to know if you're going to like it. Like, maybe pay attention. And like, and like the idea that if there was like a, a heterosexual sex scene and Mike, like you, like, were scared to look at it because it made you straight. Like, it's just like, that doesn't happen because it's so ridiculous. But these people, they're so afraid of being exposed to anything else that isn't, in their minds, normal. It's a sad way to live.
Listen, if I go through a midlife crisis and a sex scene like intrigues me that from straight couples, and I'm like, oh my God, women are cute all of a sudden. Who gives a shit? I mean, Jesus Christ. Sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
No. But it goes to like all of this just goes to like a lot of our culture just tries to remove people from being able to articulate themselves in many ways. I'm working on a video right now that'll be coming out that's about how masculinity actually in a lot of ways like is trying to, the way we think about masculinity like cuts people off from trying to actually explore themselves. It's like always live up to be this guy, always live up to be this manly man, be this dude for society that can often get co-opted for like capitalist ends, like be in competition with each other. You got to, fight, go out and work for the corporations to make money and be in competition, or like push other people away from you and control other people, dominate other people. And it's just about pushing people away from actually understanding their identity and understanding themselves, and instead be what, the capitalism and, our society wants people to be for it to function. And so all of these things, like a lack of representation, a lack of like seeing these things in media is all about like denying people the ability to like see potential ways that they could live and then be able to articulate that for themselves. So you see like this always like this wokeness in media, like, oh, they showed a gay character in a movie or whatever. It's coming from this sense of like, oh, I can't see that because again, I don't want to be that, but it's like, but you should be able to see that so that you can understand whether or not it's something that you like. It's like it's one of the best things I had a friend of mine did. He's a straight dude, but he's just like, I never really questioned me being straight. And he actually like went out and like looked at like gay stuff and stuff like that to see like, no, this doesn't turn me on. But now I know. And it just makes you like understand your own self because you are able to like see what you're not. But our society just wants to push those away from it. So it just says, be this thing. And often it's ways that, push, control, domination, be a strong man that ultimately fits into our capitalist
you were also talking about like a main character being gay. I mean, if we're talking like Disney, for example, it's like it's a side character that can get like edited out of foreign markets, and that's enough. Like that in and of itself, it's like, oh yes, there's this like character, they don't have any lines or whatever, but it's implied, not even said, but it's implied that this is like, the partner of the man. And so isn't that neat? We did it,
If you blink, you'll miss it.
But even gets like that also fits that too, because those representations often are very so shallow and tokenistic. So you hear a lot of these people like the SJW's wokeness is ruining media, and it's because they're so shallow and they just shove gay people into things. And it's like the thing that they're actually articulating that they're feeling is like these things are shallow. They are meaningless additions because they aren't taking the time to actually represent these characters. Like look at Disney characters who are like gay, but like, are those characters gay the whole movie, or are they gay for the one moment where they kiss each other and then the rest of the movie they act like a straight character? And it's just like not actually showing what it means to be gay, which is why I love the Last of Us episode so much. by the way, since we talked about it, is like that actually just represent like those characters felt like full people to the point where there was that sex scene in that episode, and it wasn't like the like, yeah, let's get these two gay guys go. It wasn't this like fetishized view of gay sex. It was like what was the I'm blanking on his name, the actor from Parks and Rec,
Ron Swanson.
Ron
That's the
Swanson.
character.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ron Swanson too.
He's Ron Swanson. He's Ron Swanson. It's fine.
It's Nick Offerman.
But he's like scared in that scene too to like have sex. Like, if you watch the scene, he's like, I've never done this before. Like, and that's a really realistic portrayal of a gay man having like sex for the first time and not knowing how to talk about it. And like that felt real. And it's like we need more of that in media. Like the thing when people complain about like wokeness in media is because they're understanding the shallowness of it, of how it is just corporations being like, oh, we'll toss in our rainbow flag, you know, in the thing that we can edit out for foreign markets, and use that as an excuse to not represent anything. But yeah, sorry, I'm cutting you off. But yeah, it's just
you're good. No. You keep talking.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like, it's just they're understanding that element of it, but they're not understanding that the answer is not don't do any gay shit at all, or don't do any like diverse characters at all. It's to do it better and actually include people in making it. So
that's why I have this theory that there are a lot more people who are bi than they realize, because
I agree with this theory.
Society is so geared towards being straight that if you're attracted to the opposite sex, which bi people are, there's no reason to like even question or explore the other side of that unless you're put in a situation or you open yourself up to that in some way. So that I am confident that there are a lot more people who are bi than they even realize. And like that was my experience. It took me a long time. I was like in my mid-20s until I realized that, hey, I have this other side of my attraction that I didn't really explore for the longest time, because I didn't even question. I had no reason to think about it until I did. So it's
for me,
something
it was
that
about
I think
staying safe. It was so much easier in high school to not be called or like not get beat up for being the F slur or whatever. If you're just like, oh, I can just hide this part of myself because I'm mostly attracted to women most of the time, so this is going to be safer for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for me it was like I had to figure out gender shit before I figured out sexuality. It's like I like look at I'm trying to think of like characters like some stinking Star Trek characters like 7 of 9 or whatever. It's like I'm attracted to you, but I also want to be you. And I also like Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. I'm unsure of what's going on here. I gotta figure some things out.
Yeah, I like that scene from The Last of Us. I was very skeptical. I heard like a lot of good things about it, but I'm very like cynical because I thought it's just gonna be like two gay dudes clapping each other's cheeks. Like there's not gonna be any substance there. Like, but no, it was actually like I watched it and it was genuinely great because it made me feel like validated. Like we can have a beautiful love story portrayed, and it's just you don't see that.
And it's telling. Like if we're gonna keep talking about good gay representation in media, it's important that we talk about Omar a little from The Wire.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I know for the best representation to ever come up out of here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's
true.
fucking iconic, unmatched.
Yes.
Unmatched.
Omar
Yeah.
is fantastic.
I'm like, are y'all serious? He struck fear in the heart there.
It's like he was a real person. He like felt like a real he wasn't like this. He wasn't like the best gay. That's a lot of times we see today is like when you have even in a show that like represents people, it's like, oh, they have to be this perfect human being. It's like, no, he was a flawed individual and a human individual. That's why he was like really such a great character.
He was a man with a code. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's just like, I like where they give these like Jesse was saying, like if you shoehorn it in, it's gonna feel just bad. But if you give this character dimensions and depth, like it really does make a difference. Like Omar was like this masculine man. He wasn't like perfect. When it comes to The Last of Us, that couple, they were bickering, but then they loved each other. I mean, like these are real people. Like we're real human beings.
Like
we're not perfect. We're not perfectly masculine or feminine. Like we're people who are very complicated. So like to get that really substantive representation, I think it really does make a difference, like in terms of like the confidence for gay men. Because if I was like really young, just coming out and I saw The Last of Us, I would think, oh my God, I feel so much more confident. But like in the absence of that, without that pop culture representation, it takes a while to build up that confidence, especially in, a society that's very heteronormative and cisnormative.
What I loved about The Last of Us particularly, and it's interesting to like talk about Omar in like conversation with that is like what was great about The Last of Us is it showed like it was telling that they got to be the characters and they're the only characters in that show they got a happy ending. Everything else is like some layer of terrible. And they got to have a happy ending, and it's telling that the gay couple, the one that in especially that show is set in like a alt 2001s, like 2002, like early Bush era politics segment. It's like 20 years after, but like the politics that they come from is then. So it's telling that like they would have been men who had just like lived through HIV and like would have had like a lot of rough time being gay at that point. And because all of that society like literally went away, they got to have a beautiful moment. It's like these pressures of having to be a certain thing that the Ron Swanson's character, you could clearly see was like, had to be like the tough dude. He didn't have to project that anymore. And so he could actually just be a person and actually get to be his full self and explore his full self and get a happy ending outside of society's bounds. Whereas, you look at someone like Omar is just a great character to bring up in that, because he was like a complicated character. And a lot of it was because of the stigmas that he faced in that society as a black man, as a gay man, the intersection of those things about having project masculinity and be tough in that world, that constantly, like, if you like, gayness is sort of seen as like, oh, feminized and you're weak, especially at the time that show came out. And so it's like, it's an interesting sort of conversation to like talk about the two of in conversation about like they're both real human beings as all three of those characters, but the difference between getting to exist outside of the bullshit of society and having to exist within it. So
yeah, I like seeing characters that aren't like this tertiary character where they're just there for representation's sake. Like there's always this trope of like the gay side character in the rom-coms where he's like helping her pick out dresses and shit like that, and yeah, for comic relief. And it's frustrating. Like the substance is really what changes perceptions culturally. And I have a lot of high hopes for The Last of Us, because if you played the second game, you know that there's a trans character and the story was beautiful. So now I actually have hope that they'll do even more justice in the show. So it's like, okay, these are the things that like moves us forward, because with LGBTQ plus people, we're such a small portion of the population. I mean, growing, right? But like such a small portion that like not everyone says, hey, I know a trans person, I know a gay person. So their first introduction to these people are characters on a screen, and that really makes a difference. Like, it sounds goofy, I've said this before, but I think that Glee, for example, as cringy as that show is, if you go back and watch it, like the gay character in that story really helped, I think, open people's minds up, because that was around the time when I first came out, and I had my own coworkers like, oh yeah, I watched the show Glee, I love the character on there, and it's like, oh, okay, so I'm not technically your first introduction into a gay person, you saw that. So like, I think these things matter,
Sorry, I'm trying not to talk because I know I rant a bunch. So I was like, I won't jump in.
No, go ahead. I'm trying to think what else happened this week that we could talk about.
Yeah, I was also.
I'm enjoying this conversation.
Like, are they gonna talk about news? Or
yeah. Speaking of news, I was really curious to get Binder's take on Elon Musk stepping down from Twitter, because is this real? Is this going to lead to
substantive change? Didn't he already say he was doing this like months ago?
Almost 150 days ago, he made that like DOS populate DOS, whatever DOS Vi or whatever thing, where it's like, I will abide by the consensus of this.
And
vote.
Then he never.
He not only did he not step down, but the right wingers embarrassed themselves so much. Like the quartering woke up in the night and started shaming all the right, being like, "This is the most important moment for free speech. We have to do something." He recorded a video and he deleted all of it the next day. He's like, "I apologize. I had a little bit to drink, and I thought the stakes were a lot higher than they may have seemed," and all this other stuff. It was so funny.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, everything you guys just said. He I don't think he wanted to step down, obviously. Will he actually step down? Who knows? What? This is
step down from what?
Elon Musk from
Elon
Twitter.
Musk, he claimed today. Well, let's make this clear. I want to be completely clear.
He's still going to control
matter,
right.
No matter what.
His Twitter's doomed. It's doomed.
No matter what happens.
Absolutely.
No matter what happens, he owns the company. It's a private company. There's not even like shareholders or a board that can, force him out or force him to do something. It's just, does he have investors? Sure. But it seems like they've been pretty hands off. Just everything, whatever you say, Musk. Elon Musk controls this app. It's his. Whatever CEO he hires is just going to be the face. It's going to be the face of the failure for Musk to save face.
He's Jerry of Waystar Royco.
Yeah, and even on top of that, he can't step away completely because he even said he's gonna move to the role of executive chair, which, from what I understand, in most corporate situations, the executive chair actually sits above the CEO. But he said he would be the CTO, the chief tech officer, which is probably a role he's less qualified for than CEO, if you could believe it. The dude knows nothing about system administration. He knows nothing about programming. He thinks he does. He pretends he does. Everyone who actually knows those roles have come out to say over and over again this past year, wow, we assumed he was a genius because he ran a electric car company and a rocket ship company. We don't know anything about that, but we are software developers. We know a lot about that, and this dude's a fucking idiot when he tries to talk code. So whether he steps down or not actually remains to be seen. But he said he was stepping down and that he's hired a new CEO. He hasn't said who it was. He did give a hint
too, right? He
did give a hint that he did use the pronoun she. Mr. I hate pronouns really leaned hard in letting everyone know that it was a she that he hired. And then I guessed, and I saw Kara Swisher also guess that it was going to be this woman Linda Yaccarino. Or Yasserino, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she is an NBC ad exec. The reason I assumed it was going to be her is because this is the woman who interviewed Musk at that big advertising event that Musk had prepared for because it was going to be his big moment to win back the advertisers. This was just last month. I assume that this woman is the only woman he's given the opportunity to interview him over these past couple of months. And it was a pretty important event for him. So I assumed that he appreciated the way that interview went because it went very good for him. And that, they must have talked afterwards. Then the Wall Street Journal, just hours after I guessed and Kara Swisher guessed, said that apparently this woman is in talks to be the CEO of Twitter.
I just saw that.
I looked a little bit into her background. She's a right winger. She's liked numerous tweets from Jack, and I don't mean like a basic Republican like corporate person. She's liked numerous tweets from Jack Posobiec, excuse me, Larry Elder. Who else? Let me pull this up.
So in other words,
she follows Elon Musk.
She follows libs of TikTok. She follows libs of TikTok.
Okay, so it's a ways.
It's just like Musk. Yeah, same as Musk.
Yeah.
As Ole said, the platform is just doomed. Like, it doesn't matter at this point.
I heard the Tucker Carlson thing really solidified it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the TV show. We didn't even talk about that. The Tucker Carlson Twitch exclusive. Or sorry, Twitter
I mean, she is an NBC ad executive, so I could see her just being here, winning over some generic corporate advertisers, like, oh, I've worked with Linda before, I know her. But right. It does really feel like one of the. I think it's called a glass cliff hire. When corporations bring on a woman CEO at the end of the lifespan to try to pass the blame to someone.
Yeah, Bender, what I want to know is, tell me about the Twitter TV thing. How's this Tucker Carlson show thing about to work? Because Elon Musk really makes me fucking sick for like a million reasons, and I hate the way all he wants to do is a million things real bad instead of anything good and do a bunch of shit nobody asked for. But I will say this, as a bitch who's been making video content on Twitter for years, I am sickened at the idea of a show platform created on Twitter for this bastard Tucker Carlson. I'm like, tell me more. Please tell me about this thing that sounds like it would have been nifty for me in a different world, and now I can't fucking participate.
So listen. He talks so much. In the past week, he's talked about turning Twitter into a video service, a dating website, a jobs board,
a phone.
He wants to turn into a audio and voice calling system. It seems like this dude spent $44 billion on like the one website he doesn't want. I mean, he could have bought any one of those websites that actually exist that do those things.
Do you believe the conspiracy theory that he's like tanking it intentionally? I've seen people say that. No, like to be able to like liquidate it to another company.
So he's
for
just this
something.
stupid then. He's just
I was
that
just saying,
stupid.
he'd be such a hit to his like his perception of like being this like god of like capitalism.
He was, yeah, no, he was
clown
considered. He was people literally had full on positive views of this guy. Thought he was an actual genius. You know, Republicans love him because he's a fucking billionaire, and they all think the more money you got, the harder you work. So who works harder than the world's richest man, right?
The meritocracy.
And then liberals loved him because he's the face of EV and space travel. Who doesn't love those two sort of things if you're into science and stuff?
I'm a science man.
Yeah, and you know he's lifted that that curtain. He's let the world know that he's not anything that any of them thought he was. And you know I don't think I really do think that he full on bought everything he heard from his little right-wing bubble silos, that Twitter was being run by these woke leftists and they were destroying the platform and censoring voices, and that if he came along and instituted this freedom of speech, free speech beliefs into Twitter, it would be profitable for the first time ever. This is why Twitter's not profitable. It's going to be profitable once I come in and do all those things that I'm hearing my little bubble complain about, without realizing he's in a fucking bubble. I think Sean of SHAUN, he does those videos, Sean Vids or whatever. He has this really perfect tweet that people constantly share, and it's spot on. He tweeted this in like November, that Elon is going to come in, do things the opposite of how Twitter was doing them, because he would think they chose to do them because they were woke leftists. And then once he institutes the opposite of what they established, he's going to realize that they are that his decisions are horrible for business, and come to this realization like, oh, that's why they were doing these things, because they didn't care about being leftist. They made these decisions because they were what's best for business. And he's going to back himself into a corner and then announce that he's reversing his bad decisions, but do it in a way where it makes him seem like he's coming up with this great new idea. He's done this for everything. The dude hasn't had one idea that was original for Twitter yet. Twitter Blue, it existed before him. He just threw in the blue check mark. Community Notes, it was called like Blackbird or something before that. I forgot what it was called, but it existed before he was there. He just changed the name. His new obsession, the subscriber feature, where you could subscribe to exclusive paywalled content from your favorite Twitter creators. It was called Super Follows. It existed before Musk. He's talking about how he's bringing back Periscope so people could live stream on Twitter. You could live stream on Twitter right now. When they shut down Periscope, they just moved the feature into the built-in Twitter camera app. Anyone could live stream from Twitter right now, and before Musk was there. Like, there's not a single original thing this guy... Oh, another one. He had this idea of, I'm going to put labels on tweets with hateful content. His whole fucking spiel with the Twitter files was that Twitter was labeling misinformation. Twitter was labeling shit before he came along, and he was against it. The dude has not come up with a single fucking original Twitter idea.
He hasn't come up with any original. I mean, that's his MO generally, right? He like bought SpaceX and said, "Look, I'm saving the future of space," when it was like that's Tesla what the company was doing beforehand. You know,
well, I think that was with Tesla. I think SpaceX might have been his original.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry,
that's the
Still,
one.
I don't trust. Even then, it's the people working there. Sorry, I cut you
right.
Yeah,
He's not a rocket scientist. He doesn't know nothing about that shit.
No, and you're not entirely wrong. Before that, he was selling those roof shingles that were supposed to be revolutionary because they were also solar panels, even though that was not his idea. And he did this entire big thing where he's like, hey, look at this model house and all this kind of stuff. The idea was stolen, and they were a disaster because apparently they have a tendency to ignite and just light on fire. But he got so much investment capital because that's the thing he's good at, just like Trump. He's good at like hype, and he's good at getting venture capital. Well, he used to be. Now I'm pretty sure like, the Elon wears no clothes. But like back in the day, people would like pour money into him because he really was a good hype man.
Well, it's also too like his ideas are all just about like what makes him most comfortable. Because like the whole what was it the loop, the thing in Las Vegas, didn't that start in like L.A. because he wanted like a faster way to get to his job?
Oh, you mean the tunnel where one single car can go through it at a time?
Well, like of course that would be his idea because he's just like, well, it's just like if I just had a tunnel to get to job faster, I could just drive right through. So why won't that work for everybody? If I just do the rich dude thing of having a single tunnel with my one car on it, and then he just like the masses.
You want to be really crazy? That would put less traffic on the road if someone came up with EV public transit like buses and stuff. But no, let's take these single occupancy cars that fit 4 people like a regular car, because they're just regular Teslas down there, and let's put them in a tunnel that can only fit 1 car through at a time, so there's not even multiple lanes. You have single file tunnel cars in this tunnel. It's ludicrous.
But it's got LED lights. It looks pretty cool.
In my chat, they're saying Tesla makes more money selling carbon credits than it does selling cars. I didn't. It
did. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was for the longest time. Those carbon credits are what saved Tesla. Actually, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day with Obama and what was it, like Solina or whatever, one of those green companies where the right wing was going crazy over, that Obama was backing all these green energy companies. Solyndra, right. Solyndra. Tesla's one of those companies. Tesla would have been dead if it wasn't for Obama. Thanks, Obama. You know?
Yeah, right.
He gave them a lifeline with that green energy program back when Tesla badly needed it. They were in dire straits, and these carbon credits are what helped Tesla basically survive afterwards through all these years. SpaceX receives billions and billions of dollars from the government. I mean, it's a space it's a private space exploration company. Who are they selling to? No one's fucking traveling to space yet and buying space tickets.
Yeah.
Lance you never answered the question about Tucker Carlson, though. Like, what's
well, according to Musk, he's not doing anything special, which I don't know if I believe that, because Tucker Carlson's got to pass on multi-millions of dollars from Fox just to stay off the air and not do anything. So I don't know what the deal they cut is. But according to Musk, Tucker Carlson's going to come, use the same Twitter features everybody else is using, use the same subscription model that anyone else could use, and that's basically what they're providing him. Again, I don't know. I don't think people. He just doesn't understand what Twitter is, and you could tell it just in all these premium features he's got out there. People don't want fucking long tweets. I see show more on a tweet, I go fucking goodbye. I'm not reading that shit. If I want to read a long piece, I'll go to an article. I'll go to a long form blogging platform. If I want to watch a video longer than like a minute, maybe a minute and a half, I go to YouTube. I'm not going to watch a 30-minute video on Twitter. I'm just not going to do it because it's not made for the platform.
And I'm betting you too, because number one, he's either kicked or made the place unsafe for so many queer people, marginalized people on that platform, that it's gonna do decently well, and then he'll artificially boost it in some way. Say, no, this is just the algorithm, and it's just artificially boosting. Like, look, the people love Tucker Carlson. It's just that billionaires it's the same thing. Billionaires just putting these right wing assholes up front and then artificially boosting them.
Also, people should know what counts as views on Twitter. A lot of people don't realize this. It's ridiculous. So on YouTube, you have to actually, your views are they officially count a view if someone clicks on your video or goes to your video, goes onto that single solo video page with just your video, and watches for I believe 30 seconds. If they do that, you got a view. On Twitter, someone has to play your video for at least 2 seconds, and if at least 50% of the video player is still viewable on their screen, the view will count. So that means if you're scrolling through Twitter and Tucker Carlson's video starts to autoplay and you scroll past it, but 50% of that Tucker Carlson video is still viewable on your screen as you're like reading a tweet, maybe like 2 tweets below Tucker's. You just gave Tucker Carlson a view. So those numbers are fucking ridiculous because they're not comparable. No platform, well, there's probably other platforms that do that, but no legitimate view metric used by like television, cable news, or any serious video platform is going to count 2 seconds of even if it's being displayed on half of your screen. It's ridiculous. There was all these tweets about how from the right about how Tucker Carlson's videos are blowing cable news ratings out of the water, which A, isn't hard to do, but B, the ability to count a view on cable news is not fucking channel surfing. I could assure you. I don't know what the exact view count, the rating, how they count the ratings, but I can assure you that if someone's just channel surfing, which is the equivalent of scrolling through Twitter, they don't count that person who accidentally lands on Fox News as they're scrolling through the channels as a fucking viewer.
It reminds me of I used to work at a news magazine, The Advocate, which is an LGBTQ news magazine a few years ago, and we were getting a lot of traction on Facebook, like our videos that we were making, because I was a video producer for them, with like 50,000 views for our videos, and then like Facebook revealed that they were like artificially inflating it by some, like I forget the exact one. It was very similar. It was like 2 seconds counts as a view, or we like shove it in front of people, and then they took that away, and then all of a sudden our views are like at 1,000. And it's like we lost all of our advertisers for those videos and everything too. It just reminds me of that, just the artificial inflation of it to make your numbers look good.
I don't remember if it was the exact same scenario, but that's a great point. But I don't know if you all remember when Facebook got shit because they had to come out and admit that their video player was inflating numbers by an enormous amount and had to break it to all these media companies that, hey, remember how you saw your video view counts going through the roof a couple of years ago and you all pivoted to video specifically because of that reason? Sorry, it turns out you got much less views.
That's actually exactly when I was working there. That exact time. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. I was just,
No. That's. I'm glad you brought it up because that reminded me of that. I mean, it's people lost their jobs because of that shit.
Speaking.
I did. So yeah.
Speaking of other platforms to do things on, Jesse, you should plug all of your channels. So we can get that started. Jesse?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I do the video essay type of things that I do. I also have a secondary channel called Jesse Gender After Dark, where I do like reviews of Star Trek or reaction content to like trailers, and also like more off the cuff like discussions about transgender issues that aren't like a big video essay. And then I'm also on Nebula. If you want to go and support me over there, Nebula is a streaming platform that supports a lot of creators, and they're currently supporting me making a short film. Which is going to be a very queer centric short film. We've announced some of the cast of that. Jessica Nicole from Fringe is going to be in it. Who else is in it that I've announced so far? Maggie Mae Fish, a couple YouTuber as well. And I can't reveal some of our cast that we have so far, but I will say if you are a Star Trek fan, I would get very excited because we might have people that Trekkies would recognize. But yeah, that's what I'm currently working on over there. So if you go to Nebula, you get that and support me and support that film. So those are the main things. So
Patrick Stewart confirmed.
Someone who has had scenes with Patrick Stewart, I will say that multiple.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's all. That's all I will say. I can't say more than that because I'll probably get in trouble for saying that much. That's all. So I'll say that.
Okay.
So.
Awesome.
Wow.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun. I'm honored, and thank you for letting me rant. I tend to be a long talker, so
we love a good
you.
monologue.
No,
that was great.
Great conversations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Much appreciated.
Okay, so
we'll just stay here for the super chats and Olay. Are you still doing your show?
Oh my God, it's already 10:30. I didn't even. I thought we had like another hour.
I wrapped this up. I'm gonna plug my stuff. All right. I put out an op-ed for Essence on Monday, Tuesday. I will link it in the chat. My Essence op-ed. I also have an op-ed coming out with Teen Vogue tomorrow. I have a new video. Everyone's been asking me for my thoughts, obviously, on Jordan Neely. That's what the Teen Vogue op-ed will be on, and my episode on Illuminati tomorrow, which I will put out then. So that's what, and I'll link my channel.
You saw the news tonight, Ole, right? About what's likely coming tomorrow, right?
Yes. Sure do.
Yeah, your last Illuminati was a banger, by the way. It was so
Thank
good.
you.
It was really, really good. Like that's gonna be the video that I point to if anyone has questions about abolition, because I cannot explain it, but you put it like perfectly. It was wonderful.
I'm gonna make it a separate. I've seen some people in my comments. I'm gonna put the abolition video as a separate video eventually that y'all can just do. I was gonna do it this week, but then stuffs. I'm
Yeah.
For y'all right now, I swear. 1 second.
Go
But
watch it.
My last video is great. Y'all really should watch it if you haven't. I personally highly recommend. I think we get better every episode. That's my thoughts. Tomorrow's gonna be half a size, so it's just gonna be the What's the 411, the new segment. It's not gonna be the Kong Shell of the week. There's nothing funny going on.
We'll be the judge of that.
I've never been able to say this. I also have an op-ed in the Daily Beast right now. My first one
Hey.
ever.
And it's
excellent.
I don't know that.
Thank you. Yeah, it
Congrats.
just got released. Yeah, it's about how the Texas mall shooter seemed to have a social media history that was a little bit in fan of maybe some of the guests that Tim Pool has or lives at TikTok, and how this seems to be a recurring pattern and there's plausible deniability and all that kind of stuff. So go check it out.
No,
Will
it's
do.
awesome. Me and my daddy both loved it, and my dad's
Nice.
so proud.
Awesome.
Man.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. That's awesome.
All right.
Salute,
Good night,
y'all.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll just stay on to
I
whatever
don't
super
got
chats
I
there
don't
are.
got many super chats this time.
I don't have many either. Just got a few.
I have 0. Right,
Actually,
I
think
usually stay on for this, but I don't have
I
any.
think I see them all in the. There's just like 5 here that I see.
Apparently,
Actually,
we stole all of our audience's money last week. There was a lot of super chats last week.
Damn, I missed that. Then I got like maybe a few for not being there, but
You
Mike
did, and we
Thompson,
tried to
there you go.
find them, but it was really hard without that back end, like the YouTube back end.
Yeah, actually, now it's working surprisingly, or at least it's working in StreamYard.
Yeah, we
so
basically
that
made
was
promises
fine.
for you, David. We were like, okay, maybe he'll read them next week. We're sorry.
If you know what, maybe I'll check. I mean, you guys don't have to stay for that if there's a lot of them. But accuracy here says, I love the rebuttals. Some of that stuff I didn't know. A coworker asked about a trans issue not long ago, and I had no idea what to say. I've since studied up. Good stuff.
Nice.
Accuracy also says videos about Star Trek. I'm sold. There you go. Ken K says players have taken skates to the neck and still finished playoffs. Yeah. So that's on the on Matt Walsh and saying hockey's not manly. I would argue players should maybe not have to go back on the ice or not feel the need to go back on after being stitched up. But
I'm
that's a
actually
whole other-
surprised Matt Walsh is not a big hockey fan, being that there's no black people who play. Like what? There's one black player.
No, it's increasing. You'd be surprised. There's a lot more.
It's tenfold. It went from 1 to 10 or something.
I'm not sure what the actual number is, but most teams now I think have at least 1 or 2 from what I'm noticing.
And I'm saying this as a hockey fan. I enjoy hockey. It's just I don't like watch it regularly.
But no, it definitely is. It's definitely one of.
It's easily
probably
the least diverse sport.
Yeah, I think
of
so.
the major sports. Of the major sports.
List the last one. This is either Binders or Mike's. From Wanda.
Oh, that's for me. Wanda with a super chat. Great show. I followed Jessie for Star Trek, but she was great tonight on other issues. Absolutely. I'm honestly, other than the Matt Walsh video, because I don't really watch much pop culture analysis. It's just not my thing. I'm not trashing it. If it was my thing, I bet I'd make a lot more money on YouTube because that's what's popular on YouTube. But I wasn't aware of Jessie until the Matt Walsh. I mean, I probably saw her content floating around, or at least saw people talking about it. But I wasn't fully aware of her until the Matt Walsh video, and that was good. So yeah, it was great to have her on today.
Yeah, I'll have to familiarize myself with her content, but yeah, I'll check her out. I don't know. I saw one video from her. It was a while ago, but I really liked it. But yeah, she seems awesome.
There's also this one from the Mick or Themic. Here's a 20 at the last minute. Thank you all for Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Very nice.
And
I didn't get that 20. I didn't get that 20.
Maybe they'll be a little generous and give it all around.
No, I appreciate that. No, I don't want to feel. I'm just joking. Please, I'm just joking.
Can I do a PSA real quick? So I can't take super chats because my channel is still demonetized. So if you want to, you could support me on Patreon. But what I will say is that if you're already a member, please re-sign up when I do get monetization, because I've lost 130 memberships because for each day that it's set to renew and I don't have monetization, it just auto cancels. So you will have to restart that. If you want the same benefits, you can sign up on Patreon and you still get like early access and Zoom calls and stuff like that.
Mike got a little too spicy for YouTube, and they were like, demonetize,
cancel culture.
Too woke.
Yeah, cancel culture has come for me.
Yeah,
it'll be okay.
I think it's really stupid that they consider demonetization, monetization, I should say, as one whole thing. Like, they really should separate super chats and ads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matt is freezing.
I thought it was me that froze. I'm like, oh god, is that my computer again?
Matt, are you still here? Because you got 3 more super chats just came in for you.
Hello? Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Your face froze for like 10 seconds.
Oh, I mean, I think I don't know if you heard me. Like, it's stupid to combine the super chat and ad monetization thing, because you can
I had no idea they did that.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very stupid. Just, if it's a policy issue that, YouTube just doesn't want to monetize a channel because bad, hateful content, that's one thing across the board. But like, if it's just like content that they don't think is ad friendly and they demonetize you in total, that's stupid, because you could still make super chat money from it.
Yeah, YouTube is missing out on revenue. They take like, I don't know, what is it, like 50% of memberships? They take a big portion. It might be Twitch that takes 50%, but I mean, they could be making money, but they're dragging their feet.
Damn,
YouTube is 75%.
75%.
You got a bunch more. You got a bunch more. So YouTube split is, they get 25%, we get 75%. Twitch is
that's pretty good.
Half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, YouTube definitely gives more than Twitch. That's why I usually just tell people on Twitch to shoot me the Twitch Prime subscriptions, because those are free for them.
That's much better.
Yeah, if you're gonna give me, use whatever is most convenient and you prefer. Period. My viewers, but if you have a preference between YouTube and Twitch, I get more from YouTube. I get more of your money from YouTube. Twitch takes half of it. YouTube takes 30%. And damn, all I did was complain just a little bit about no.
Yeah,
super
you got
chats.
some more coming in here. Here you go.
Let me just say, I didn't get enough super chats again. I wish there was even more. Omega with a $10 super chat. Thanks, man. Hi, Matt. Just wanted to bring up the police chase incident from the Bronx where one person succumbed to their injury. Someone I know and their mom were there. The latter unfortunately passed. Wait, what? I didn't hear about this. What happened? I didn't hear about this. This has just happened today?
I don't know. Haven't heard about this.
All right, let's go to the next super chat, and I'll see if I could find something about it. Catherine Wolf with a super chat.
Also yours.
Hold my teeth, says the NHL player. Foresto with a super chat. My wife was so aggressive in high school hockey that she moved to the boys team, where she proceeded to beat the crap out of the men's teams too.
That's awesome.
That's probably also why Matt Walsh doesn't like hockey. Kowalski with a super chat. Great show. I am currently going through madness planting, but at least I have been informed by you all. Kowalski, our resident farmer. He's got a huge ass farm, and he calls in from the farm, and we get to watch him do crazy farm shit. Yeah.
What's madness planting? Is that just planting a lot of things that like going crazy planting?
Let me look that up. Good question. I just read it without planting. Even. I don't see anything. Maybe it's just a Kowalski term. Maybe this is straight up what.
Yeah, just going wild with planting. Lots of planting. That's what that is.
Oh, we got another super chat too.
Yeah, crazy for you today. You know what? I'm not getting a lot this week. I feel kind of like
Blex actually with a $10 super chat. I can't wait for the announcement that Dianne Feinstein will be the new CEO of Twitter. No, her politics aren't right wing enough. It'll never happen.
It's whoever's in, her puppet, whoever's in control of her right now. We didn't talk about that this week, but oh my God, those photos of her appearing back in Washington, and she's a corpse. Like, I don't want to be mean about it, but she's not. How can her staffers around her be so like it's elderly abuse at this point.
Yep.
Like to wheel her around like this, like she is in control of what she's doing. It's very disgusting.
Yeah, she congratulated Tim Ryan for the victory of Warnock. Like she.
Yeah, I read about that.
Actually,
you mean Tim Scott? Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. Yeah.
Tim Scott. Yeah, wrong.
You
Tim,
said Tim.
but
Yeah.
Tim Scott.
She thought Tim
Mike,
Scott
Mike,
was
Mike,
Raphael Warnock.
are you okay? Experiencing shingles or something? What's going on?
I'm criticizing her for fucking it up. And I'm fucking it up.
We're gonna see Mike on the stream next week in a wheelchair.
All right. I got one.
That's you. Okay, go ahead.
Dapper says, please share with Mike and Bender. Well,
you don't have to.
Winking face, so they're joking. I take it all.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, that's I can't. Yeah, that's silly. I'm not gonna be bothered.
Zero says, Alicia in the chat wants Andrea again. I gotta say, I feel bad that I didn't properly engage Andrea in the chat as much as I could have. I feel like it can be definitely intimidating coming into a chat with like 6 other people, and you know what I mean. So I feel like I could have brought more conversation out of her, but definitely I would want to have Andrea on again. She's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. She's great.
Zero again says Tyler Hackner wants her back too. There you go. Very popular. This is Bender. Say Mike has
Red
the best
Bull
beard.
Red Bull. This is for me.
Thank
Red
you.
Bull, White Claw, and Blue Chew.
Yeah.
Mike has the best beard. Yeah.
Appreciate
you know
it.
what? You can say whatever you want if you're throwing me the money.
Oh, here's a big
it's an
one for you,
objective
Bender.
fact.
Oh my goodness. Look at this.
Oh, 22 Canadian. So what? So what
Wow.
is that? Was that $2?
20. It's about $20.
No, I know. Binder's 20. It's Canadian, so not really. No, that's $20. Still a lot,
There
man.
you go.
Thank you so much, Andy. Appreciate it big time. Kowalski again. I'm going insane, but the voices are nice. Oh, there you go.
Also you.
Oh, the Wasting Times. Ogle of the Wasting Times. Dylan
shout out.
Yeah, Dylan Burns kicked off Twitch for streaming Trump Town Hall. He's streaming YouTube for now. He's back in Ukraine. You should have him on Leftist Mafia. We should have Dylan on. But
Yeah,
he was kicked off. He was kicked off Twitch for streaming the Trump
Is it a
Town Hall.
permanent ban?
It's so that stuff is really weird because sometimes they allow, like I think I've streamed debates on there before, but then other times they're more stringent about that stuff. It's hard to know. I'd be curious to see if he was the only one streaming it. Like if he's the only one banned and everyone was streaming it, then that's ridiculous. But these policies, it depends on the event.
The funny thing is, I remember in 2020, was it 2020? Well, maybe not. Maybe it was before the pandemic. I don't remember. But Majority Report would do the live streams of the debates during election season. And depending on what channel was on, for example, the CNN ones or the Fox News ones, they couldn't stream on YouTube, actually, and they would do it on Twitch. Now it might be reversed. I don't know. You got to watch out because these cable news channels are going to get very protective over their exclusive election-related content. That's for every streamer out there. They will, when you're doing like a segment on some news segment or whatever, any other part of the year, you're usually fine. They're going to be a lot more strict about their exclusive election content because that's what gets them the big bucks.
Even though it's legally fine to do it, but I guess because it's still it's fair use. As long as you're commenting on it, it's definitely fair use. It's 100% fair use.
The argument's going to be doing the whole thing, though. It's one thing to.
I
do
guess if you're just
clips.
sitting there and it's playing, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but if you're just streaming the whole thing, it's a little bit more tricky. And I think, even though I think it's fair use, I think it's more of a gray area. Clips,
regardless, though,
is way more obvious. But the like just doing the whole episode or the whole event, it's a little bit more of a gray area, I think.
And also, they don't care what's legal, what's not. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they'll, like the lawyers are on their side. They're gonna gonna get a real legal challenge from anybody on YouTube over this or Twitch over this stuff. So
yeah, it's not a fair system at all.
Yeah,
by the
not
way,
at all.
since I've been demonetized, I've gotten 6 or 7 copyright claims, which are you get them like every once in a while. But since none of my videos are monetized, you have these random like spurious people claiming them just so they can monetize it. And I'm not going to appeal it until I get monetization back. Like the whole system is so fucking unfair.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is also for Binder.
Oh, another one. I missed this.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah with a super chat. Matt Walsh has hands softer than my mother.
That's great.
I've never heard that one before. That's a good one.
Eric says, "Great guy. Hey guys, great show. David, watch you all the time. Love the hair. Thank you, much appreciated. Thank you, Eric." Nomade says, "Up yours, woke moralist." Our intro music intro is fantastic. Just generally the whole.
It's amazing. It's the best.
This one's also for you, Bender.
Oh, Omega with a super chat. It was the incident I brought up a while back. Oh, talking about the Bronx one. All right, you'll have to send me. Don't send me. Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you to send me another super chat, but DM me on Twitter or something with the link to the story, and I'll check it out.
All right, last one here. Eric again says, "Do you guys think that we could ever get Brian Tyler Cohen on the show as a guest?" I'm not sure if he'd want to. I mean, he's the guy's massive, right? Like he. I feel like he may be afraid of a bit of the conversation that happens sometimes on the podcast. He may not want to, I don't know, potentially get in trouble with some of the things that are sometimes discussed or said. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'd rather than against him. I mean, there was one point, like he has a big following on Twitter, and he like shared all of our channels.
Yeah, he's very
shared
nice.
mine and yours, I think. Yeah, he's a nice guy for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, one more here. Look at this.
Who's that for?
You.
Oh, it's for me. Sai. Oh, I see. I'm reading it now and I see why it's for me. Sai Abelman with a super chat. What's up with the El Salvador debt default situation? I also read they canceled Bitcoin Beach. Might be time for another scam economy episode. Yeah, El Salvador, no surprise, not doing good. That's what happens, I guess, when you like jail. I don't even know a large percentage of your male population in some weird crackdown. On protests happening against your regime for the whole situation there. Yeah, I did see that they canceled Bitcoin. They're not Bitcoin Beach. They canceled their Bitcoin City. Bitcoin Beach already exists, and it's like a weird like tech created thing. It's not a government created thing, but they had plans for a Bitcoin City, and that's what got canceled. I will be doing an episode on it for sure. I gotta catch up on scam economy with some of this stuff.
And last one is for me. It says from Jules here. Great show. Thank you.
Nice.
Perfect one to end on.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you, everybody.
That was a great show, guys. As always, enjoy. Hanging out with you guys, and I'll see you all next.
See you all next week. I'll be deep into the next Zelda. I'm sure Mike, you will as well.
Yeah, you won't see me on social media very much, but yeah.
I'm probably taking tomorrow off. We'll see what happens. But
really.
I mean, it's a big game. I mean, then again, if there's a story I want to cover, I'm going to cover it. But I do have to run some errands tomorrow too, so just maybe I'll take the day off. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the day off tomorrow. I don't care what happens. I'll cover it on Monday.
Damn, enjoy, guys. You think you're gonna try to beat the whole thing, or?
Oh no, I'm gonna drag it out.
The game's super long. It'll take me, I'm sure, a couple months to get through. I don't have enough time to just like sit there and play, but.
Yeah, it's gonna be a doozy. I'm hearing it's taking like 50 to 80 hours to complete, just like the main mission. So
are you running out to GameStop tonight at midnight?
No,
I'm not sure they still do midnight releases anymore. Since like digital downloads are like a huge thing. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna go. So it's gonna go up on the digital store at midnight.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm probably getting it physically. I'll probably go out tomorrow and just get it.
Yeah, I'm getting the physical copy. I need to try to get the Pro controller. I want to get the Zelda Pro controller because my Pro controller it has drift. So like, I don't want to play with the fucked up controller. I want a good controller. And if I'm going to buy a new controller, I want the cool Zelda controller with the drip.
I got the Zelda Switch, the OLED.
Oh, how's that?
I didn't have an OLED, and it's beautiful. The design's nice, and also the screen is the first time I've seen the OLED on the Switch. It looks stunning. It's great.
Oh yeah,
Fantastic.
see, I would pick that up, but I just play predominantly on my computer. Like I just have like Elgato plugged in, or not Elgato, whatever it is. But like, so I just play it on TV and
No,
stuff.
it is Elgato.
It is, yeah. I have it hooked up so that way I could just like play it on my monitor.
You play Switch on your computer monitor?
Yeah, just because it's a little bit more comfortable. Like I have a TV as well, but I just like my monitor. It's a little bit closer and.
Are you gonna stream it tomorrow? Stream your Zelda?
Oh
game?
no way.
I don't think I'll have time.
Yeah,
I'd rather play on my TV anyways than play on my computer.
Yeah, and I have to zone out. I don't want to be entertaining. Like I just want to bask in all of it. Like I don't want to think about anything.
Like, I feel like I would like the idea of being like a Twitch streamer, like a gamer, sounds great, but when I game, I just want to play the game. Like I don't want to have to talk to anybody.
Exactly.
So
I want to leave the world mentally.
Yeah,
I hear that.
And actually,
I hear that.
one last thing. This game's coming out just in time because I'm just at the very end. I think I'm at the very end of Jedi Survivor, which is a fantastic game.
I want to play
super
that.
cool. I'm actually surprised how much I've enjoyed it. But
oh, nice.
Is that the one that's like 150 gigs? Like, is that the really
I think it was a
file?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty big download, like a surprisingly big download. But it looks amazing. It plays great. It's like a Metroidvania, so there's a lot of exploration and getting new abilities, opening up new areas. It's like the kind of game I enjoy. So
okay, I'm waiting for the PC patch because I really want to get it on PC, but I hear it's dog shit.
I hear the PC version's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
This isn't a super chat, but I gotta read it because it's funny and true. Alan Hill on someone's YouTube goes, Matt has a way of dragging any stream out eternally. I could go for, you know how many times I've been on my own stream after streaming for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, all right, last call. And then lo and behold, 4.5 hours later, I'm still taking calls streaming. I'm terrible.
Holy shit.
I can't help myself sometimes.
Is that they mentioned that, but last night I was listening to you and Lance a little bit while I was playing Minecraft, and like hours later, I like go back onto YouTube and I'm like, holy fuck, Matt is still on, and you look so exhausted. And you're like, okay, I'll take 1 or 2 more short calls. I'm like, these calls are not going to be short.
Right. Yeah. I always get myself, and I always feel bad. That's when I start to say, all right, I got to put, when I start visibly looking exhausted and feeling exhausted, I got to be like, all right, I'm not going to give you guys 100%. I feel bad. I got to, but I also don't usually get exhausted until like 3-4 hour mark anyway.
How do you have energy for your children?
Yeah.
That's why, this, even doing this once a week, I'm like, I'm glad this is once a week because I could not do like 3 hours a night. Like this is a lot for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. There'll be times where there's lulls and my body is like for a week just like going to sleep early every week for some reason. But then there's long periods of time where I can just go. Like when this show ends, I don't go to sleep. I'm gonna, I don't know, watch TV or play a game. I don't know. And then I still wake up tomorrow at like 6:30 a.m. for my kids to get them to school. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess my body is just now trained for it. I've been doing it long enough. So it's just.
I notice if I don't sleep properly, like I am not as good in my videos. I'm not as good. Like I don't have it. Like I need to sleep to be able to have, to do better work. Otherwise, I can't think on my feet.
Same.
The funny thing is, I think I do streams better than I do videos. Like, I can't sit down and talk and I mean I can, but I feel like I'm not as good as when I do that same very thing, knowing there's a live audience on the other end. I also feel like I do really great when I'm doing live shows. I've been like in-person live shows. I've done a few with Majority Report. I've done one of my own as part of like a larger show.
Like in person, like with an actual live audience?
Yeah. I'm just...
I've only done one with Jimmy Dore.
You did? Oh, wow. Tell me. Oh, I was gonna say tell me about that, but then we would talk here for another 20 minutes. I'm sure.
Well, you could give like a little story. Well, what's funny? I was in Portland like a few days before that happened.
Yeah.
Like, remember that? Like,
I remember that.
Me and Mike met up for I think it's like for lunch with our partners, and then you were like going to Jimmy Dore's like show like a couple days later or something. It was just random how the timing worked out.
Yeah.
But then, and now Jimmy Dore is just, oh my god.
Yeah.
Now he's doing anti-trans stuff. Like it's it's far down the hole now.
That's a trip. Not necessarily my greatest moments, but you know.
Well,
what did you guys talk about? What were the topics?
His content, like.
It was, I mean, in the live shows, it was actually super fun. He didn't just suck off the right. Like he attacked Democrats and stuff, but I did too. Like it was more variety. Like we talked about like Islamophobia, you know, and stuff like that. So it was much more like organic, like grassroots feeling where he would talk about like, you know, corruption and stuff. Nothing like what it was, you know, or what it is now. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone. In fact, the year after, that was when he was doing the whole Steven Crowder, Carlos Maza thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it, man. To be fair, it also was because I was having more anxiety just in general lately. So it wouldn't have been good for me, but I was also pissed off because like, okay, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to be your quote unquote gay friend. Fuck you. You know, so.
It would have been really funny if you were like, listen, it was August of 2020. It was a segment where Jimmy Dore was yelling at the audience to take off their masks. I was talking with him about the good uses of ivermectin. I never knew it was going
He was so great then.
Yeah.
This was 20. I think this is 2018 because that's when I
yeah, it was 2018, and it was super fun. Like I went 2017 December, and then again in summer of 2018 when he came back to Portland, and it was super fun. Like behind the scenes, we chatted, and I asked him about like the Alex Jones moment where he spit in Alex Jones' face, and now he's like doing revisionist history. Saying he did a spit take when he told me before. It's like, no, I spit in his face. I put water in my mouth, then I spit in his face. So he's fucking lying. But like, you know, it was much more like personable back then. But it was still really weird. Like you can kind of tell that his wife like did everything for him, prepared everything.
Is his wife even on the show anymore? The clips I've seen, it's him and some other comedian. Like I don't even see her around anymore. I
haven't seen her on the show in a very long time.
I just wonder if she's like she had enough because she had to. I don't think she.
I feel really sorry for her because as bad as she's gotten too, you could tell that she's like trying to keep the peace. Like meeting her in person, she was a really sweet lady. So like I feel
met her
bad.
too. She's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like she's very, very personable. You could tell she probably has more progressive views than Jimmy, but like he'd snap at her if she, you know, got out of line. Like I remember like before I went in July or in 2018,
he yelled at her on a stream like viciously.
What?
That's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna stop watching the show. This is fucked up.
It's not surprising that he would do that, but what did he do?
So she read a super chat that confused him. I'm not even lying. That's what it was. So she read it in a way where he
that's only happened. That's only happened once before.
But like she read it in some way where I guess he answered the question in a way that in his mind made him sound stupid. I don't even remember what the context was. I don't think it was that big of a deal. But he like snapped and he was like demeaning her. And it was like, holy, this is really, and like Ron's sitting right beside her and like, this is really embarrassing. He ended up cutting that out of his recorded version of that stream later on, of course. But that was like, all right, he's got some problems. I'm completely disengaging now.
That was around the time when I think I was doing his live show, like in the summer. It might have been like 2018 or something.
I think it was
like
around that time. Yeah,
I remember being very, very like weirded out by that. Like honestly shocked by it because it's like, oh my god, this is like you're live and you're like yelling at your spouse. That's not okay. He also snapped at other people like Katie Halper before on the stream. Like she was playing devil's advocate. I don't remember what the context was, but she was just making a point that she didn't believe, but just to like say what other people are saying. And she's like, yeah, you know, that's, you know, one of the dumber things that people have been saying. And he's like, oh, well, thanks for bringing up that dumb point on my show. It's like, dude, chill out.
Yeah. That was actually a really, really good Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, that was a pretty good impression.
Was it really?
Can you do that again?
I don't know. It came from my soul. I don't know if I can recreate
that. That was a good spur of the moment impression there.
Alan says, right, Mike only yells at his spouse behind closed doors. Oh, okay, sure. Because if you like watch me, you could tell that I'm definitely that kind of person to get very like up in arms and scream all the time.
Well, there's gonna be a video of Mike yelling at you should actually do a segment pretending to be Jimmy Dore
like
with that voice. Yes. Yelling at your husband. That'd be very funny.
Thanks for making me like stupid.
That reminds me. There's this fantastic episode of Majority Report. I think it was for April Fool's Day. I forget. This is like 2018, 2019 maybe, where Michael Brooks is basically like the Jimmy Dore character.
Oh, it was
Halloween. They did Halloween.
Yeah, it was
I wasn't there for that one. Yeah, but yeah,
and Sam Cedar's
really
like H.A. Goodman. Like, it was just
yes.
that
What
whole
happened to that
street
guy? He became a Trump supporter and disappeared. Yeah,
He's still around.
That
I
whole
check on
stream,
him.
I've gone back and watched that like 3 or 4 times because it is like me
So
and my wife both like just cracked the hell up at that entire thing.
It is
so
fucking
funny.
hilarious. I think that
And then-
Sam Cedar's character was A.A. Seaman.
Yeah, it was something wild. And then someone called. So one of the regular callers is John from San Antonio, and someone, I think it was like Ronald Reagan, like calls in, and he's pretended to be that like John from San Antonio, but like a Jimmy Dore version of it, and it is fucking like I like tears down my eyes watching that.
Yeah, I rewatched it again a couple of years ago, and I was cry laughing. Just like the part where Michael Brooks was like doing the Jimmy impression. He's like, and we have A.A. Seaman, and he's one of the only people who's telling the truth about the DNC. It was just so fucking funny. So good.
Yeah, Michael was really good at impressions. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It wasn't only the impression either being spot on. It was like he knew the exact type of content that person that he was doing the impression of would put out. Like, he really not only got the voice down and the mannerisms down perfectly, but even like exactly what and how they would say it. It was,
Hilarious. All right, we got 2 more super chats. Here we go.
Oh, we did.
Last
Wow.
one.
Who's that for? Is
Ohm
that you?
says this is for me. Ohm says, by the way, hockey is expensive and less accessible for all kids. Yes, that's definitely part of the issue when it comes to lack of diversity. And this one is for you.
Kowalski, Matt could run farm hours, to be honest. Get on his level. Oh yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Out late at night and up early in the morning. Yeah,
That's impressive. You have energy. Like, it's not like you're walking around like a zombie. Like, you can tell when you get tired, but I mean, like, it's impressive. I couldn't do it. And I don't have kids, so I have no excuse.
I will say, though, I'm not a morning person. Like, I'm up, but I'm not like, it's not like I'm like spry and like I'm on top of it. I'm walking around like a zombie in the morning, but you know, I'm up. I feel
like I'm a morning person if I sleep properly. Like, I enjoy being up early if I've had a proper sleep. But I also enjoy being up late at night. So it's like this conundrum where I want to be up late, but I also want to wake up early.
Yeah, same. I get that.
Anyways.
All right, guys. Oh, youtube.com/MattBinder. Please go subscribe there, being that I'm on a stream with 2 people who have, 3, 4, 5 times, probably way more, my YouTube subscriber base. So rush over there and subscribe right now. Thank you.
Do it.
Do it, yes.
That's great content.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you so much, guys. And I'll see you all next week.
Next week.
Take care.
Right. Goodbye.